Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening. It is good to be back, my friends. My name is Dave Scott, host of Spaced Out Radio, and I want to say a big thank you to all of you for hanging on out with us. Why am I getting some feedback right now? I know why. Hold on. I know why we're getting feedback here. Let's just turn that volume down. Hey, you get down. You get down there. You're not supposed to be up. There we go. I got a new computer, so that's the reason why I'm doing all this stuff. And you can see the new monitor right here. And I got to get organized. It's been a real runaround. I'll go through that here in a couple of seconds. Carter Bouchard is going to join us, not Eric Mintel. He could not make it tonight on the last minute, but he sends his condolences. So Carter Bouchard is sticking in with us tonight. We're going to open up the lines to you guys as well for your spooky stories. Logan in the gold medal position. We got Race Fan with a silver, and Roy Boy taking home the bronze tonight. D. Cohen, how you doing? Lisa C., how you doing? Thank you for coming on in. Donna Spencer, good to see you. Midwest Night Watchers is here again. Happy Halloween to you, my friend. And Midwest, I can't even say your name. But either way, they're going to be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Let's go to Pam Harris. How you doing? Morrow 568. Welcome to SOR Chat. Millennium, thanks for coming on in. Luscious Jules and Judy of Gaul, thanks for coming. And B, Pixie Lara, good to see you. Typical Skeptic, nice to have you back. How you doing? Shiro, how you doing? Thanks for coming on in. And Gypsy Skies Caravan, welcome to SOR Chat. W. David Page, Digger Dog, and Nikki in Seattle. How you doing? Sue Ashwell is here. Sue will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. And let's see, Noble Patrick. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby, which means we can officially start this show. Samantha Hazelwood Gray, how you doing? And Search and Destroy, Love V Love, Nucker, Overbuilt, and Susie B. Good to see you all. Ivan, how you doing? 007. Aiden Build, how you doing, man? Matt M, good to see you. Crystal J, Big Tex, how you doing? Mama Susan, 405er, Be the Arrow. Stephen Edmond, good to have you back. And Jose, how you doing, guys? It is so good to be back. And Bad Cop, how you doing? Good to see you. Honestly, this is relaxing to me. Very relaxing. It's been a stressful week. Trisha, how you doing? I'm going to go over everything because our radio audience is probably wondering why we were playing a bunch of replays through the week. So I'm going to wait and explain everything there. Hi, Jenny. Always a pleasure to see you, my dear. Hi, Science Melinda. How are you? Digger Dog, how you doing, buddy? And, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you feel we deserve. And, the new computer. It's working. Let's go there. Put that right there. Woo! Yay, it works. Son of a gun. Marlena, yay. Brown Dwarf, good to see you all. It's been a while. It really has. It feels like coming home to family. It really does, guys. And I owe that all to you. I really do. And your love and support that you guys showed on social media and everything towards my mother is great. She's not out of the woods yet. I'll get into that here in a few seconds, but it's a tough time. And when my dad made that call last week, it was gut wrenching, absolutely gut wrenching. Who do we got here that's come on in here? Simply Coco, how are you? What is your drink of choice for tonight, my dear? I would like to know. So would the rest of the fans. And we'll wait for all of you guys to pile on in. We got 30 seconds here. And pretty quick here, we're going to see our good friend Bill WD-40 and Spreaker lube us up for tonight's show. There he is, Bill WD-40, lubing us up for tonight's show. The beautiful Bill. Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much for coming on in. We got about 9 seconds here, and I'm excited, guys. I am so excited to be back. So thank you so much. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight. It's all about spooky stories as we celebrate All Hallows Eve here in British Columbia. And you know what? What better way it would be for Halloween than for it to snow? Yeah, it snowed on Halloween here. Already? It's like, come on. I mean, it's just a dusting. It's not going to stick around. It's only like less than half an inch. But either way, it's just too early. Too early. But we got a great show for you tonight. Carter Bouchard is here. We're going to share some spooky stories. We're actually even going to open up the lines to you guys. We never really do this, but I'm in that mood. I want to hear your spooky stories as well, because it is that time of the year as we get ready to move the calendar once again. And hard to believe November's already here. And then in hour number 3, we're going to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller is here for another spooky story. And, of course, little Timmy Senor will be here for the UFO report. And, yeah, Shirky Poo has the news. Now, Carter Bouchard is a good friend of this show. He's a Sasquatch researcher who was all about the nuts and bolts, more nuts than anything. Yeah, more nuts than anything. Until the weird stories started coming in. And he's collected a big list. I've collected a big list of spooky stories. And you know what? We're going to share some of those stories with you tonight. We're going to do things a little bit differently than what we normally do on this show, because why not? We can, we will, and I love natural stories. You know, I do. I love natural stories of what you've experienced, what I've experienced, and what everyone else has experienced as well. So, you know what? We're going to have some fun tonight with that. I hope you enjoy it as well. Let's bring in our good friend, Carter Bouchard. He's somewhere around here. I think, oh, what the heck is that? Some sort of alien. Where's Carter? Where's Carter, man?
He's here. He's here, Dave.
Oh.
This is the alien threat that Reagan was talking about.
Oh, man.
I thought I'd show you my new Halloween mask.
I love it, my friend. How you been doing? Oh, there it
Anyway,
is.
there he is. But that was a fun mask. That was a great intro, actually. That alien threat that Reagan was talking about. That was me.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, Dave?
Not much, man. You know what? I just want to take a couple of minutes for our radio audience here and our audience on YouTube and Twitch. I have missed a number of shows over the last week. What happened was on Tuesday of last week, I got a phone call that nobody ever wants, and that is my dad asking me to drive home because he thought my mom was at the end of the line. My mom over the last 20 years has been an absolute warrior. Absolute warrior. She's beat cancer twice. She's beaten a number of other health issues. She is the toughest woman I know. And it was very tough to see her lying very weak in a bed, very uncontrollable of her bodily function. She could barely move her arms. She could barely move her legs. She had a couple of major surgeries over the last month that the doctors are pretty amazed that she actually lived through them. But my mom is 79 years old. She's not that old, but health and radiation and chemotherapy, they beat you up. I mean, they extend your life, but they also cut your life short. And my mom last week went into a real dovetail, and we thought we were going to lose her. And I had to immediately email my radio stations, and I want to give a shout out to my radio stations. Every single radio station that we broadcast on replied to me within an hour saying, "You go take care of your mom, and we got this. We got enough programs banked up in the past." And so if you were hearing some repeats last week, it's because that my mother is ill, and I had to be there. So I want to personally thank at Sagadine 60 both Jody and Praveen, the station manager and owner, for being absolutely incredible. They both called me to see if I was okay. Len Novin at our two stations in Apache Junction for being just absolutely amazing, saying, "Don't worry about us. We got this for you, and you go take care of mom." Chuck Contreras at KZFX in Ridgecrest, California, for just calling me and texting me to make sure my mother is okay. Ryan O'Neill at WQEE in Noonan, Georgia, for doing the exact same. And of course, the family at in Bellingham there at KZAX. I mean, thank you so much for allowing me to just disappear for a few days and make sure my mom was okay. I actually came home on Thursday night, and then I had to be back at my daytime job Friday and Saturday. But I went back down on there on Saturday night and hung out with my mother again. My mom is, just so you guys know, is never coming out of the woods. It's now a matter of time. It's sad to say. I don't like talking about it, but there is a reality that comes along with it that, I mean, you get people in my position, they always ask for privacy, just respect my privacy. And I agree with that. But I also feel that I owe you guys as our listeners a very, very true understanding of what is going on in my life right now. And there may be a time coming up here very soon, and I hope it's later than sooner. But there may be a time coming up very soon where I'm going to have to disappear from the airwaves once again, and hopefully it's a long ways away, but I don't think so. And your love and your prayers that everybody sent me on social media, publicly on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as in DMs. Thank you so much. Every prayer that you guys sent was heard, and I relate it to my family, and I relate it to my mom. I said, "Mom, you got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people praying for you right now." And it was it was truly heartwarming for me to read, and I read every comment, guys. I may not have responded, but I want you to know I read every single comment, and it touched me in a very emotional way. And I just want to say, I think we have. I know every host says this, but I honestly believe we have the best audience out there and the most caring audience out there, that when one of us is down, we're all there to pick each other up. And the way you guys have picked up me and my family, thank you from the bottom of my heart, my family's heart, and from my mother as well. So we got a show to do here, so I don't want to spend too much more time on my personal stuff. I'm gonna get choked up if I do, but yeah, don't be surprised if in the next few weeks to months that I all of a sudden have to disappear again. It'll be hopefully longer than sooner. But thank you, Carter, for letting me just get that on out there, because I just wanted to keep our audience updated. But honestly, it's the support we got was phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, family before anything, Dave. That's how it is. So.
Oh, you got that right. But we're
Yeah.
going to have some fun tonight. And Carter's a fun guy. And at least he tries to be. That's the image that he puts on, the facade that he puts on. And
It's a facade.
Carter, let's start out with you. I mean, you are more of a nuts and bolts kind of guy. You're kind of over the last 6 months to 2 years really starting to really get you educated in the woo side of everything. What's some of the scarier stories you've experienced or heard about or investigated?
Well, the one I just got was a woman in Arkansas, and she, as a 6-year-old child, was face to face with a Sasquatch, like a foot away from her. You've heard this story before, probably in various forms, but she was 6 years old. Her mom got her a red ball, and she was kicking and playing it out in the farm. They lived out in the country in a bunch of acres, and just, kids' life on the farm. And she was kicking the ball around, kicked it a little bit too hard, went over to the barbed wire fence, and she runs over there to get it. And she's bending down to pick it up. And she sees this big shadow just comes over her, and she's going, well, maybe the sun's going behind a tree or something. She picks her balls up and looks up, and she's staring at a Sasquatch, a female Sasquatch. She's decided she felt the essence, but it was a female, and it was a foot away, and it wanted her not to eat or kill, but to take and to nurture her. She wanted to take her. Fast forward 10 years later, when she's 16, and she's going out at midnight, stole some cigarettes and booze from her parents' house, and she's waiting for her 2 girlfriends that they did this once a week. They would just, rob the parents of the booze and liquor and whatever they could find, cigarettes, and go hang out in the woods and smoke and tell stories and have a fire. Well, she's waiting for them, and she starts hearing this rustling, and then more and more rustling, and then what sounds like a stampede. And she's out in the middle of this road, this old country road where nobody drives or nothing. She's just sitting there waiting for this. This is where they all met every time. And the woods just erupted, and there was probably 50 to 75 deer running out of the woods. They came out of the central chunk of woods, and then they made a circle around and went up this hill and were running through the woods. And then she heard this stomping, this humongous stomping, like boom, 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 bipedal walking. Now, what the heck? 5 Sasquatch come out of the woods, and they're herding these deer into a funnel, a choke point. And the sound was deafening, and she laid down on the ground so she wouldn't get seen. And they were running by her, and she could feel the wind. And long story short, when it was all over, there was this big loud noise, and then it was just dead quiet. And then she sees 5 Sasquatch Mom, pop, two sons, which he thinks were twins because they're exact same height, and one smaller one, each had a deer slung over their shoulder, walking off out of those woods into some other woods. She watches all this. She's mortified. She peed herself. And on top of that, her friends didn't show up. So she's sitting there in the middle of the woods on a moonlit night. She could see all this because it was a moonlit night. And so I just got through talking to her all last week on a couple of Zoom calls. She was like just petrified, And so that's the scariest one I've come up with recently. It doesn't seem all that frightening until you're a 16-year-old kid sitting out in the middle of the woods, smoking cigarettes and drinking booze, waiting for your friends to show up, and you see 5 Sasquatch herding 50 to 75 deer. And it was like precision. They had them going where they wanted, when they wanted, and they funneled them out and chased them back down and chased them back up. And then they got the stragglers, and it was, and all the noise, and you heard some snorts and, a few shrieks, then it was over. And so she witnesses all this, it scared the crap out of her, and so she's 51 now. She's 50, and she suffered PTSD from both events for years and years and years. And here's the funny part, was that her father wanted to protect her. So they thought, well, we're going to move away from all this because I don't want you being around all this. So they moved to Washington State. I'm going,
that's the place.
Did he pick the wrong place? And so we had a good laugh about that, but she was mortified, and as we all sit here, you've had your sightings, I've had mine, and things have happened, but for a kid, and it just hit her wrong, and it affected her life, her relationships, and everything for years. That's what's frightening about it, is if you don't have anybody to talk to or anything, any way to get some therapeutic, advice, conversation, it affects you. You don't know what to do with it, and they were like simple, very, very simple country folk. They barely watched TV, and there was too much everybody had to work on the farm. Everybody had to work, so she was affected, and she has PTSD. She goes to counseling, and still at 51 years old, so I'll have more when you start telling me yours. I go, oh yeah, that reminds me. But that's the most.
I don't think people out there, Carter, and the experiencers out there in our listener land will understand with what I'm saying. I don't believe that those out there who have never seen or experienced anything really understand the mental impact of being face to face with something that isn't supposed to exist, whether it's a ghost, whether it's a Sasquatch, a dogman, an alien, or any other creature that is out there. And, I often wonder for myself why I was chosen for all of these things to see. I never asked for it. I never wanted it. I lived a happily boring life, leading up to all of this. Mm-hmm. There was no need for the phenomena to all of a sudden choose me and say, we're putting you on a different path.
Yeah.
Because over the last 10 years, man, it has kicked my ass.
Yeah.
And it all started with seeing the angel of death in my mother's eyes. And that happened December 13th, 2011. So we're going on 11 years since that happened. And I'll tell you, I don't think that we, as not only investigators, but podcasters, radio show hosts, YouTube channel, I don't think we put enough emphasis on the issues. And like you said, some people get the PTSD over their encounters. Mm-hmm. And how do you deal with it as an investigator when you are dealing with people like that?
Well, it's a good point. And that's why I'm writing my books. I'm starting a third one, because someone needs to speak for these people because they have, they're scoffed at, unless they come to your show or very few others where they can actually talk about their experiences and have somebody understand and give them guidance and just support, just have a soft shoulder to lean their head on and talk without having any ridicule or anything like that. When they're shunned, ridiculed, especially by their spouses, significant others, they're the worst ones. You tell your husband, you tell your wife, tell your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. I just saw a UFO. I just saw a Sasquatch. Oh, you're right. Well, you've just cut them off. The person they trust the most is showing them the least amount of support. And that happens a lot. So, I've had people crying. I could hear the emotion. I could, they're crying. And this woman I was just talking about, she said, "You saved me. You said something to me when we talked, 3 years ago when that report came into BFRO, and they would have never, in fact, they turned that one down too as another, shocking, but they shunned her and they just said, no. And so she had nowhere to go. Nobody would talk to her. So you talk to these people and they're like devastated. They're torn up. So, the same for me, when my, of course, my aha moment came when I was 10 years old, but I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know it until 2006 through 10, that I had a off-planet experience. And so I didn't know that for 15, 20 years after it happened. I mean, I just didn't know. My 30 years, I didn't know. So, but these people, they just want someone to talk to, and they are absolutely mortified. And they flinch when a leaf hits the, some of them are just, how it is, and when you saw the angel of death, I mean, you're looking at it and you're going, why me? But why not you? How come? Well, why me too? But, I like having these people seek me out and tell their story without fear of ridicule. And may I put it in my book if I find it intriguing enough? Yes, you can. I just changed the names and locations. So by telling their story, I'm hoping to have other people contact me and tell their story, so people will finally figure out that there's something going on behind the curtain of, our boring daily lives. So
I look back to all my experiences that I have had, and it's been very few times that I've been truly scared. A lot of times it just felt uncomfortable and you have to leave, but
yeah.
Truly scared 3 times, 4 times, and never with Sasquatch. Never with Sasquatch have I been scared. I've been put in uncomfortable situations that were eerie and spooky, but never really been scared over it. Ghosts, shocked, not scared. Even when I got attacked by the dude in the barn, never scared me. What has scared me is the alien side. The UFO landing on the ground and then calling me outside. That was scary. Seeing the alien in the forest, that was scary. Seeing Carl at my window, that was scary. Waking up on the table after being abducted while I'm being implanted, that was scary. That was scary. We'll get into a bunch of scary stories tonight. We're actually going to open up the chat to you guys. If you have a spooky story you want to share with us and you're in our chat room, let me know. And
I didn't know that about you, Dave, because I was taken. That was, I never knew that.
Oh yeah. Hey, we're brothers of the alien mothers.
Well,
Hey, big shout out before we go to Heather, Aaron, and Jenny in Swansea, Massachusetts for tuning us in tonight. Thank you, ladies. Space Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we're clear.
Right. No, I didn't know you'd been taken.
Oh, about 8 times that I know of.
That's why we know each other. I mean, we know each other, you know.
Yeah.
I had no idea. You never told me that. Yeah. I've been taken once that I know of, maybe 2 or 3 times, but once for sure. I either have 3 screen memories of one abduction or 3 screen memories, one each for each abduction. I haven't figured that out. I need to go back and listen to my tapes. Yeah, I was hypnotically regressed, so I have everything on tape 4 times. All the stories are the same. So it happened when I was 10, but I didn't find out to 2006 to 2010 when I decided. Well, I'll tell the story, but I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I've been taken a few times. My son has been taken. My daughters have not. My partner has been taken a couple of times.
What about your wife?
That's what I said.
Oh, partner. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not married.
Yeah.
I'm never getting married. That's my thing.
Famous last words.
No.
Yeah.
Not for me, man. Did
Yeah.
that once. Not doing it again.
Yeah, I'm on my second and my last. I'm too old to do it again anyway.
No, I have. It's been a roller coaster, man. It really has. It's been a roller coaster of emotion. It's been a roller coaster of everything.
Yeah. Well, we've got weird shit going on here around the house. I think I probably touched on that, but since my contact with the clan in Illinois, we've had bizarre things going on in the house. Something tapped me on the head while I was watching TV about a month ago on the sofa. I'm sitting there and I hear this boom, boom. I feel it. It's like 2 finger taps on my head. I'm sitting on the sofa with my wife. Shit moving, flying around, things picking me up out of my. Oh, I got some. Yeah, we got plenty of material.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get caught up on all the hellos here.
Oh yeah, look at, you're packed.
Give me a second.
$10 bills going at you.
Mr. Lurks-a-lot, how you doing? I have Millennium. No, I haven't heard the hypnosis session with Geraldine. The lovely and talented Kira, how are you? Good to have you back, and it's great to be back in front of all you. Oh, hey, Clam. Nice to see you. And there, I think I'm finally caught up with the hellos. And I owe one to Ravishing Ronnie over in Spreaker. How you doing, Ronnie? Good to see you. Always a pleasure. Yeah, it's a weird one, man. It's a friggin' weird one, and I don't get it sometimes. I really don't get it.
Yeah, they need us to be a conduit for other people, to intelligently discuss if we know why they're here and what they're doing and why they.
This is a gentleman right here on the screen that you need to talk to, Dr. Robert Steers. I got to get him on the show. Kathy Evans. Yeah, Dr. Steers listens every night. I've noticed him for about the past month in our chat room, which I appreciate. Mm-hmm. And he's really into people who've had abduction experiences.
Yeah, and mine, apparently I was collateral damage. The person they were after was my buddy.
Right.
He's the one that had the procedures done. Far as I know, I have no inkling that I had anything done to me as far as implants. Of course, how do you know that? If they're done properly, you're never going to know they're there.
Mm-hmm.
But
give me give me 2 seconds here, Carter. For those who are already in the chat room, I put the link up, and keep your stories pretty tight. Hi, Dolly Saffron. How are you? Big thank you to Donna, Steve, Mennonite Abe, Pixie Lara, Susie, and Pam Harris for the super chats. Very much appreciate your love and support of SOR. And come join us. If you have a spooky story, we want to hear you. The link is in the chat. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very glad to be back on the air with all of you. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go. Carter Bouchard is here. We're talking spooky stories all night long because, hey, it's what we do around Halloween, and we want to make sure that you get all of the fun juice that comes along with it, being gripping to the side of your chairs. And Carter, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Now, right before the break, or actually during the break, you were talking about an experience you had being collateral damage. I have to hear this.
Okay. Well, this happened when I was 10, and I've always had, I don't know if you ever told these stories, when you were growing up. Oh, I did a bunch of stupid stuff. I almost got killed. I should have been killed, and, I always had this story I told about riding my bike with my good friend, Craig Whaley, back when I was 10, 11 years old, Dallas, Texas. That's where I'm from. And we were racing our brand new bikes. We were racing each other's hot summer day, and we ran a stop sign because we just weren't paying attention. It was in my neighborhood. My house was right across the street, actually. And so we ran the stop sign, and this blue Buick just blew by us. Couldn't believe it didn't hit us. I was just going, oh my God, it almost hit us. Around the stop sign, we'll get in trouble. My mother's didn't work back then, so she's home. She's out farting around the yard or doing something. And I thought, oh, she's going to see she's going to be in trouble. Well, it didn't happen. So, but I've always told that story, that and a couple other stories about stupid things you did that, you could have been a casualty as a kid, and you survived, and here you are today. So fast forward to 2006 or 7, somewhere in there. My wife, myself, my comedy partner's widow, he passed away, and her new husband. We were sitting around, and we decided we wanted to go see if we had past lives. So we found a hypnotist. I found a hypnotist here close to me in Kansas City. We went to her studio, and she regressed everybody. It was a barn. She had a maze, and you walked out and you kind of meditated, and you got calm and chilled and just meditated. And she went in and she hypnotized, and we all watched each other. She recorded it. So my wife goes under, tells her stories about what she was, Nancy told her story. She was a fisherman in the 1920s in the stormy Atlantic, North Atlantic, where it's just treacherous as hell. And she was an Indian medicine man. Her husband was back in the Atlantean days. Anyway, we all went through our thing. So she hypnotizes me, and I start sobbing uncontrollably and talking like a 10-year-old boy. Oh, stop it, don't tell. And, I tell this incredible story, and everyone's sitting there. Of course, I don't know this. I'm out, I'm awake, but I'm out. And that blue car was not a blue car. It was a spacecraft. And the blue car, if you're familiar with screen memories, I know you are. My grandparents had a blue Buick. They lived in Houston. So that was something I could familiarize myself with and forget about what was actually going on. So that blue Buick was a craft. So anyway, we were taken aboard a craft, and I could see Craig behind a veil, the classic behind a curtain. You could see the silhouettes of the grays, that they look like grays, or large grays, what it looked like to me. And they were doing procedures on him. I could hear him screaming and yelling. I'm going, oh my God, what I was 10-year-old kid. What am I going to do? So I wake up from the session, and the hypnotist, she'd just gotten her license, I find out. And she was like, and everybody's standing around with their mouths open going, what happened? What? This is a past life? This was apparently heavy on my head. So anyway, after everybody recovers from my incredible story, which had nothing to do with the past life, we go home, and I slept like a baby all night. But I woke up the next morning, and I went down in my office, and I drew a reptilian. Don't know why. I just drew a reptilian, and it was a good drawing, and I wish I could find it. It's gone. Irritated me. I scanned it, and I emailed it to the hypnotist. And I called her up and said, hey, Toby, did you get my drawing? Yeah, I did. Listen, you need to find somebody else. I can't handle this. I'm not equipped for this. I don't know how to guide you. I've never been experienced in anything like this. I've never seen or heard it, even in training. I don't know. I can't help you. I don't know what to do, which I thought was big of her to admit, So long story short, I go to another hypnotist. I get the same result. You've heard of Dolores Cannon?
Yes.
Yeah, she's passed away. She took me under twice. Same story. I've got all 8 sessions on cassette tapes, which for some reason I haven't listened to, but I kind of know the story, but I should probably relive it just for my own. Anyway, so what happened was, one of the screen memories I had was Craig and I used to always go fishing at this pond. And one of the memories that I had in my head, I was casting my line, and I caught his neck with a hook, and I was pulling, and I was going, God, what is caught? And he was screaming, stop, let me go, God, stop. Because I thought, that was my screen memory for his operation or his procedure. That was my screen memory to put him in the pond where we always went fishing, and I had a hook in his neck. Well, that never happened. That was a memory implanted in my head. And so that was very, very vivid. The other screen memory I had was we went fishing at this pond, and there was a big dike that went across the pond, and you could, they boarded horses at this pond. It was Castleman's Pond back in Dallas, Texas. And they boarded horses. And so there was this beautiful funeral buggy, leather buggy with the brass lamps and the covered coach. It was ornate, beautiful, It was just sitting on the dike. There's no horses there. It was just sitting there. I was talking to Craig. He said, where'd that come from? I said, I don't know. I've never seen that. This is kind of weird. Well, that never happened. That was a memory. It was because probably there was another craft there. That's what Dolores surmised when she took me under the second time. And she also told me that you don't know all the answers because it's not time. You'll suddenly, one day you'll go, oh, and you'll know what it's all about. The weird part of the story is that after the hypnosis, and I completely forgot about it, my wife and I bought a 1951 Buick out of Chicago and restored the car. My grandparents had a 51 Buick. Mine was black, theirs was blue. Why would I pick that car? You know what I mean? It was just one of those weird, serendipitous things. And after we bought the car, I was going, I'll be damned. Why do I buy this Buick? Well, because my grandparents had one, but also because the screen memory of the blue Buick, it came full circle. So it was just mind-boggling. And I can't find Craig anywhere. I've looked him up. I think he's passed. I'm old. I mean, I'm 71, so he's my age. So he may be gone. I found somebody I thought was one of his kids. Reached out on Facebook, never heard back. You may not know me, but that one of those weird emails. So that's one of those things that, and that's why you and I know each other, because I didn't know you'd been taken. I mean, it's just bizarre, that we're kind of slowly being put together.
It always seems to come together. It always seems to come together. And for me, probably the scariest point for me was seeing that I knew the screenshots and the memories that I was having were actual. It got to the point where I remember a couple of times, and this just happened recently, where I was afraid to roll over in my bed because I knew there was something on the other side. Like, just right there. I just knew. And I didn't want to scream like a banshee, being unprepared to see what was there.
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, there is nothing freakier than knowing that there is an alien potentially standing right behind you within a foot or two, and it's there because you can feel it. And your dogs aren't barking, they aren't moving, everything else is very quiet and still, except this horrific energy that is right behind you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, damn it, do I not? But human fear kicks in and you're like, nope, don't you do it. Don't you do it. You want to,
Yeah,
but you never do.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy? Yeah, it's just it started rearing its head here since 2019. And I'm not really sure. I mean, I can place it with my bonding or becoming known and knowing, having a relationship with a clan in Illinois. That's when all the weirdness started. But it was all supposed to happen, and maybe this thing I had with the Sasquatch clan in Illinois was a reward, or it was just going to happen anyway, and in a weird way, and people are trying to make a UFO Sasquatch connection, and this might be some validity to that. It's not that they were on the craft, although Mike Harrell, Pork and Beans.
Yes.
Mike Harrell, he did a study a long time ago, and they interviewed people who had been abducted. The criteria was they had to be awake when they were taken, and awake throughout the whole thing, including being brought back home. They had to be awake the whole time. And they asked them what were the 5 beings or alien types they saw. They really just said, what aliens did you see on the craft? Greys, Nordics, reptilians, Sasquatch were there in the top 5 of beings seen on the craft. Interesting study. I mean, did it all over the world. It took a while. I can't remember how many people. If you ever talk to him, he gets explain it, but it's pretty interesting. The connection, that it's not like they're piloting these craft and landing and coming, or walking through our planet and doing whatever they're doing, but maybe they are doing that. I mean, we don't know. It's all supposition. Well, a gorilla can't fly a craft. Hell no, that's not happening. Well, we don't know. They can walk through walls. They can disappear. They can bend time. They can do whatever they want, apparently. And so why can they do this but not that? So it's just it's a strange connection that I find myself in. And people are trying to make that connection. And here you and I didn't even know any of this about you till just now. I think I may have mentioned mine once during one of the other shows, but just briefly. So it's fascinating how those experiencers find each other and can find some comfort and support, and
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
that's what we do.
And it's tough because, like I've talked to Samantha Mowat and other people about it very often, and people just don't get it. If you haven't been through it yourself, you just don't get it. And not everybody gets that peace, love, and light type of interaction. You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
mean, you hope, but I mean, there's people who have had real nightmares happen.
Oh yeah,
Real nightmares.
yeah. No, I know a lady who's mortified of the night. She even got a job at night so she can sleep during the day and not be asleep at night. That's how it's controls her life, because she had an abduction ET experience when she was a teenager. And so ever since then, she's been mortified of the dark. So, well, I'll work at night so I don't have to sleep all night in a bed by myself. So I'll work at night and sleep all day. I'm not afraid, I'll sleep all day and everything's fine. But it's ruled her life. It's changed her personality. It's changed her habits, to where I'm going to avoid the night at all costs, where I'm going to be by myself and asleep, so I'll work during the day. So it's just odd how that happens. And I've got weird things going on at home that, sometimes I go, God, I don't know if that's the Sasquatch people or if it's something else, but it's just, we have some bizarre stuff. I make a list. I've got a list of things going on at our house for the last 2.5 years. It's just crazy, just weird stuff, not stuff you would assign to a Sasquatch necessarily, the forest people, but it's odd nonetheless. And there's something going on at my house. I don't know if you got stuff going on at your house, just weird little noises, things flying around, and lights flickering and oddness. But I've got things going on. They're like, to me, I call them shoulder taps. Someone's going, "Hey, we're here. Check this out. See what look like."
I think one of the only times that I've really been scared is when things have involved my children.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I remember in my old house, my stepdaughter complaining that there was a shadow in her room, and we had to my guru Pascal got rid of that. I remember that there was my other daughter, my stepdaughter, would always see for about a week an old man standing in front of her closet, to the point where she started talking to him. And we found out that his name was, she called him Grandpa, and that he was 84 years old. And contacted my realtor, because our house, we were only the second owner, and the house wasn't that old. It was only 12 years old. But the previous owner, his name was Gerald, who was a grandfather, and passed away 3 weeks before his 84th birthday.
Ooh.
Yeah. So one night she actually said to him, you're scaring me. and I just want to sleep. And he went, sorry, and mentioned her first name, and he walked out of her bedroom. That was kind of interesting. But the scariest that I've had with my little boy was a couple of years ago. It was a Sunday night because I didn't have the show. And I was sitting in our kitchen. We have an island that kind of juts out, and he's sitting on the end of the island, and I'm kind of in the first seat to his right. And him and I watched these what I call captain's bars, like military captain's bars.
Mm-hmm.
They were about 18 inches long and about 6 inches wide. Okay, 5 inches wide. And they carried through from my dining room and went into my kitchen and out the window. And now a lot of people will say, well, was it headlights? Was it a car? Okay. In my area, after 8 o'clock at night, we don't get any traffic. There's only 8 houses on my street, and there's only 2 other houses that a vehicle could pass by window in a cul-de-sac. And so here we are watching this, and I said to my boy, did you see that? And he goes, yeah. He goes, Daddy, what was that light? I said, I don't know. But that was weird, huh? And he goes, yeah. And he goes back to eating his cereal. And a couple minutes later, all of a sudden he breaks down in tears, full on emotional crying, like almost tantrum like. And I'm like, Bud, what's going on here? He goes, Daddy, I don't want you to die, and you're going to die soon. I'll tell you, I had complete shivers down my body and down my spine when he said that. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was freaked out. And you give the politically correct answers. Oh, no, Daddy's not dying. Daddy's not going anywhere. And in the meantime, I'm thinking, God, what if my kid is psychic?
Mm-hmm.
What if he's seen something? Like he had a vision or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, that next 2-3 weeks, I took it easy, man.
Cut back on the pizza.
I literally cut back on everything. My going out, my just everything. Yeah, I had to.
Did he ever explain how? Did he get a vision?
Doesn't even recall it now.
Really?
Nope.
Huh. That's bizarre.
Yeah.
How old was he at that time?
He was about 4 or 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's not a nice spirit, to scare a child like that. I mean, unless they're trying to teach them about life in some abstract way. I mean, that's very abstract, put that burden on a kid like that,
Yeah, I'm not sure what the reasoning was or what brought it on, but I'll tell you, he once I got him calmed down, he was fine, like nothing happened. And I believe I even asked him, hey, what was that you said? And he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, it's just one of those weird situations.
Was there another spirit in his body or something? Was another spirit take him? So he remembers nothing of it. I mean, that's bizarre.
Nothing. But I mean, that happens with a lot of children.
Mm-hmm.
They'll talk and talk and talk, and then they won't have it. Carter, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Hard to believe we're already through 1 hour here on Spaced Out Radio. It's good to be back on the air with all of you. Yep. I hate taking time off, but
That's
what it is. We got another hour to go with Carter Bouchard, and and some real cool stories. And if you want to join in, you can too on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear, dude.
All right. That's bizarre. So he's
Yeah.
he's 9 now, so that was like 5 years ago. Roughly.
Yep. Yep. And I don't hide a lot of this stuff from him. I really don't.
Well, not in your line of work. It's kind of hard to.
Yeah. You know, I'll be right back. I'll let you chat with the audience here for a couple seconds. I'll be right back, and I'll fill you in on another story here.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Hey, I'm gonna go get a drink of water. Cable guy, Matt. Well, happy Halloween, everybody. It's pretty cool to be telling these stories on Halloween night. Can't beat it. Cannot beat it. Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. Hey, hey, hey. What's going on, Big Daddy? Yeah, if I was a chick, I really don't think I'd want to be nurtured by a Sasquatch. Well, just hurts a little bit right at first, and it's over. Texas Woodsaw Massacre.
All right, I'm back.
But does he,
Pardon me?
what's your boy's name?
Colby.
Colby.
Yeah.
Does he have any other psychic leanings or interest? Has he's spoken out like that again? Or just that was it, that one time?
Every now and again. Every now and again, he pops up. But,
Is he like an empath?
he sees things.
Does he? Okay. Yeah.
Enzo, how's the hair, buddy? Give us a good update on your hair if you don't mind. We'd appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions or anything, you have stories, I'll put the link up in here. And you can join us. Yeah, hi Trust, how you doing? Get through this here. Tristan Stevens, how you doing? Good to have you back. And we got a fresh haircut. Thank you to the super chatters, Pam, Susie, Lara, Mennonite Abe, Steve, and Donna. Very much appreciated. Hi, Delta. Here we go, everyone.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have each and every one of you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Phasmophobia. Phasmophobia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We're hanging out, talking weird, strange stories that we've experienced over time. Carter Bouchard, UFO investigator, Bigfoot investigator, paranormal investigator. He's with us tonight, hanging on out. Carter, we're so glad that you were here with us, my man.
I'm glad you had me, Dave, because I'd be keeping myself awake like I was last night at 1 o'clock. I just woke up and staring at the ceiling for 5 hours. I had to take a 2-hour nap today. Yeah, the weird stuff is just, so I've been keeping this list for the last 2.5 years of the odd things that go in the house. And I want to credit the Sasquatch for some of this, but I may not be correct, but my wife and I have, in 2019, when I made contact with a clan and we communicated by rock gifting and everything, within an hour of those rocks being gifted to me, my wife here in Kansas City, 300 miles away from the Trail of Tears in Illinois, she's watching an orb flying through our bedroom. And she not only sees the orb, it's about golf ball size, but she also sees it reflected in our mirror on our dresser. So it wasn't like a passing car like your neighborhood. We live on an acreage and there's no traffic out here. So it wasn't a car turned the corner and going by. She saw it, it zipped around for a while, then went into the bathroom and just disappeared. That's not a coincidence. That was, I think, the Sasquatch telling me or telling my wife that we're in a relationship. Hope you don't mind. I mean, something to that effect. I mean, she sees it. And when I told her what happened, I called her at 8 o'clock the morning before I drove back to Kansas City. I told her what happened, and the phone was quiet for a while. She goes, "Okay, you're not going to believe this." And then she tells me the story about the orb, a blue orb. I don't believe in coincidences, so that's not a coincidence. It happened. It's a real thing, and it happened for a reason. It wasn't, it could have been a spirit of a past loved one or whatever, but the synchronicity of it all with the gifting of the rocks and my communication starting with the Sasquatch people there and this blue orb in my bedroom within an hour of when I ascertained these rocks were left for me. That's a whole other story. We'll talk about some. But anyway, they do that. It's a shoulder tap. I have something happened here about a year ago where I'm in bed. Everything happens. A lot of this happens in our bedroom. That's the only thing that happens in our bedroom. I tell you. I'm just kidding. But anyway, I'm in bed and I wake up and I feel hands, like 3 or 4 hands under each of my legs, and they're slowly inching their way till they get all the way under my body, and then they lift me up off the bed about an inch, and I feel myself going to the edge of the bed. I'm going, what? And then at the same time, Sheila, my wife, gets up and she's going to the bathroom. I say, "Sheila, are you seeing this? Do you see this?" She doesn't hear me. She walks like I'm not there. And what I'm looking through is kind of like a fog. It's like you're looking through a wintry window where it's kind of frosty around the outside, and as you get to the middle, it's a little bit more clear, but it's still got it was just kind of a fuzzy look. And I'm going, "You don't see this?" And she just gets up and goes to the bathroom. And as I'm getting toward the edge of the bed, I'm going, "I got to do something here. I don't know what to do." And as soon as she flushes the toilet and turns out the light, blah, I get dropped on the bed.
Mm-hmm. I've had 2 instances like that.
Oh, tell me, because I don't want to be alone. Hold me.
I remember one time it was a dream. Most of my alien abductions start off as dream situations. And I remember it was a total dream because it was 40 below outside and in the middle of winter, big snowstorm coming in and freezing cold. But in my dream, I was wearing my shorts and a t-shirt. It was a spring day. I was talking to a buddy of mine in North Carolina, and there was this one rain cloud over in the east. And I kept looking over that rain cloud, and I looked over again, and there was a disc there. And this is daytime, in my dream. And I remember saying to my buddy, "I got to go in. I don't want them to take me today." And as I started walking towards my house to go under my carport and into my downstairs door, this craft starts moving diagonally towards my house.
Yeah.
And I realize as I'm walking across my driveway to try and get into my carport, I'm actually walking up in the air. And I stupid me, I start jumping, saying, "Guys, I'm not going today. Don't take me. You're not taking me today. I told you I don't want to go today," and all of this. And I'm yelling at them. And all of a sudden I'm equal with my patio above my carport. Then I'm equal above my roof. Right. Next thing I know, I wake up. I'm about three feet above my bed. And I just get dropped right back into my bed.
Wow.
And my arms flail, and I smacked my partner on her back while she's sleeping. And she jumps up. "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm wide awake now. And I said, I just got dropped back into bed. Sorry for hitting you. You know, I mean, that was one of the weirdest. But one of the funniest though is my house is very haunted as well. Just never know when things are going to happen, and it comes with this job. You attract a lot, okay? And this one time, I think we were only here about 2 years. And I'm lying in bed and I'm sleeping and trying to get into that deep sleep. And all of a sudden, I felt my right leg, like somebody picking up my right leg. And my right leg is in the air. And I remember turning and I said, "No, not tonight." I said, I haven't slept well. Can we not do this tonight? And my leg just went right back down onto the mattress. And I was like, oh, it worked. It worked.
Well,
You know,
with Sasquatch and spirits, if they're benevolent, they will honor your wishes. If the Sasquatch are scaring kids or quit banging on my house, you can ask them, "Hey, would you quit doing this? I don't mind you coming around. You live here on my property, whatever, but don't bang on the house. You're scaring the kids. You're scaring me. Quit killing our animals. Quit taking our chickens, whatever." If you ask, like you just did, and they mean you no harm, and they're going to get you next time anyway, okay, we'll put you back down. We'll come back later when you're more asleep. My wife thought I was lucid dreaming,
mm-hmm.
which I guess it's a possibility, but to me, I felt those fingers and hands
Oh, yeah.
going up under. Now, why I didn't feel them under my back or my butt or anything like that, I don't know, to pick me up. But whatever they were doing when they picked me up by my legs, because they were under my butt, like from my, under my butt down to my knees, and then one set of hands on my calf. My entire body was up, but that's the only place I felt anybody lifting me up from there. But when they lifted me up, my entire body, like I was on a stretcher, lifted off the bed. It was a weird sensation. I was awake. I mean, I knew I was awake. I was watching my wife get up and go to the bathroom. And she gets up and goes to the bathroom about the same time every night, like all of us do, probably, within a certain time frame. So it was, I didn't think it was lucid dreaming. For all intents and purposes, it was real as heck, and it ties in with all the other weird stuff, but she had a pillow yanked out from under her head one night when she was asleep. I was laying there right next to her.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. We got a couple questions from our audience here. Let's start off with Donna. Have you ever seen any Bigfoot come out of portals? I have not.
I have not, but a witness that I've known her for years, and she finally told me about one that she saw. I've not seen one. I've seen areas that look like portals. They're like nests that are kind of woven, and there's a hole. And she saw one come out of a portal, float about 50 feet across the air while she's watching it on the third floor of her apartment. And a sliver of light opened up in the sky, and she called it Chewbacca. That's the only way she could describe it, was Chewbacca. And it just floated by and disappeared into this crack, and then the crack went, it was gone. I've known her forever. She managed a poker room that I played in for years. I've known her. I've become really good friends with her and her partner. And, she's had 2 sightings like that. And this is like in the middle of the city in an apartment building that's got woods behind it. I mean, it's a nicer high-rise apartment, but she's sitting there watching it, and she saw it, and I believe her. And I've talked to other people. I have not had the pleasure of experiencing that, as far as I know. I did see one disappear when I saw it. When on thermal, it walked into my field of vision, and it just went poof. It exploded like a big flashbulb. Boom. And it was gone. Now, where it went, I don't know, a portal, another dimension.
Well, and that goes right to our Sasquatch story that we had from just a couple of weeks ago. Like, we saw this guy standing, then we saw him crouching, and then he was just gone. If he would have went to his left, we would have heard him climbing over a bunch of trees.
Yeah.
If he went to his right, we would have seen him climb up the embankment.
Mhm.
If he went backwards, we would have seen him move backwards out of the light.
Yeah.
He just vanished. He was just gone.
Yeah. And they can
Let's-
do that. Yeah.
Let's get to one more question here
Yeah.
before we have a caller. Pixie Lara is sitting in the green room right now. We'll bring you in a second. This one comes from Corey. Did either one of you think you were losing your mind before you started to understand what you were? I love this question.
I'm still trying to figure out what I am. You know, I was too young when I became aware of things, and I was a lot enlightened in my head. I just knew that there was other things in the world besides what they were telling us. I don't know how I knew that. Of course, 20 years later, I get hypnotized and find out that I was abducted. And so that's why I had an awakening. I had a knowing of something. I bypassed the losing my mind because I've talked to so many other people that I thought, you know, they all thought they were crazy. And so when I heard them, I'm going, I'm not crazy. I'm as sane as these people are. They're not crazy. They just got weird stuff happening and they're experiencers. So I've never thought that. I lose my mind when I don't get an interaction every couple, 2 or 3 weeks of something. Then I'm going, well, if they don't like me anymore, I want them to keep interacting, keep doing things. So I never thought I was losing my mind. You know, I never did.
No. And for me, the same thing. I just let the experiences happen. You know, I didn't try to stop them. I didn't try to, you know, I chose to, you know, to allow it to happen. You know, I may not have liked it, but I know I made the conscious choice. You know, I've never really second guessed myself to think, am I lying to myself? Am I really experiencing this? You know, I mean, and the thing is, it does come with sacrifice. You know, you lose a lot of friends. You lose.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared to lose a lot of friends. You have to be prepared to lose family. You have to be able to bring all of this to the table and be true to yourself. And as long as you're true to yourself, you know what you saw, you know what you've experienced. You don't need a camera. You don't need that video. You don't need that photograph. All you need to do is believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And you'll know what happened.
You're a knower and an experiencer.
Absolutely.
That's it for me, you know. And you know, I'm a real estate agent, and you know, do pretty well. But after the last 2 or 3 years, as I've written the books and put myself out there in social media, people, you know, realtor friends and clients was going, oh boy, Carter, well, he may have taken one too many steps onto the dark side, you know. So maybe we'll call another realtor, or maybe we'll, you know, divest myself, or we won't hang out as much, because that is kind of a weird genre of things to be interested in when you're still trying to handle somebody's biggest financial transaction. They often may not want to deal with you. I want to sell my $500,000 house, but I think I might find somebody who doesn't believe in flying saucers and Sasquatch. You know, I mean, they don't say that, but I know the vibe is there. So, but it's okay. It's a belief. It is a life. It's my living now. I'm supposed to be doing this, you know. And if I thought that after 20 years in real estate, 25 years, and life as a musician, rock drummer, and doing comedy and all that kind of stuff, that here I am, well, I'm supposed to be here. I'm following what I'm supposed to do. You know, I'm just following what I'm supposed to do. I have no choice. You know,
Let's bring in the lovely Pixie Lara here. Laura, how are you? Welcome to
Hi, Dave. Hi, Carter. Hi, everybody.
How you
I'm
doing?
doing really good, actually.
Awesome. My
We
wife
got
has
about-
purple hair too.
Oh, thank you.
No, she's
This is my, I'm done with the big C in our lives. I've got to do something fun.
yeah. Well, she was white. Her hair was white since she was 18, and she dyed it red forever. It
Ooh,
tore her
nice.
hair up. And I said, embrace it. Just let it go. She has long, beautiful gray hair with purple highlights. It's beautiful. And she gets so many compliments. So embrace yourself. Do it,
Oh,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Laura, we got about just under 4 minutes here. You got a story you wanted to share with us?
Yeah. Well, as a lot of your YouTube SOR fam knows, I've had a lot of experiences over my lifetime from early childhood with paranormal. Seen ghosts. I've seen poltergeist activity. My mother was a UFO experiencer and abductee. And when I got into my early 20s, I moved to my little town here in New Mexico and became a member of the Elks Lodge. And several of the members there knew about me and my background, and that I knew, understood things about ghosts and whatnot. And so we'd talk and they'd tell me stories about different things that had happened around the Elks Lodge here in town. Some of them say, you'd see, like you would in a typical bar that's haunted, a glass fly across the bar, or maybe, somebody feels their back getting shoulder touched and that kind of thing. Well, a couple of years passed and I was one of the officers. And I was there late at night with one of the treasurers, and we were sitting at the bar, and the bartender was on the other side closing out his register. And from the far end of the room, you heard a very loud bang on what would be the lodge room door. Now, anybody that's part of the Elks Association knows that part of ritual, whether it's for lodge meetings or initiations, is the Esquire's on that side of the door, and he does a single rap to let them know that there's somebody at the door. And we all looked at each other and kind of said, "Did you hear that?" Yeah. The guys got up, they checked the bar area, nobody was around. Small lodge. Sat back down, went back to what we were doing, and a couple minutes later you heard the same bang. And so we all three looked and at the same time watched as the doorknob turned and the door opened to the lodge. Again, nobody was there. And this kind of thing happened pretty regular at the Elks Lodge. Myself, later on, a few weeks down, was sitting again at the bar, getting ready to do my duties. And I heard a woman's voice in my right ear that just said, "Hello." And just being friendly, I turned, said hello, but there were no other females in the bar. I later found out that the secretary that was there, she was the first female person to be initiated at this lodge, as it used to be an only male organization.
Yeah.
Had passed away not long before. And so, yeah, and those are just a handful of things that I've experienced throughout my life. And
Last call.
yeah, I was the one that they always called, though. They come to me and say, "Hey, there's this ghost."
Laura and Mr. Carter, I'm going to get you guys to hold on right there. We're going to head to break here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to push the spooky stories right till the top. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. We're clear.
It's
That's
great
cool.
to finally get to say hi to you, Dave.
Hi, Lara. I worked in a haunted hockey rink.
Oh, right
where
on.
This building was just creepy. And I was only like 21, 22, 20, 21 at the time. And this building, my first paranormal experience, what they did was, this was a training facility. So if you take a size of a hockey rink, just the rink, never mind the stands, and you condense it to about 2/3 the size.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That was the size of it. And we had the rink was tight in. It was built into
Sorry.
into a how can I put it? In an industrial building area that was carved out of a hillside. And the first paranormal experience I had there, I opened up the rink at like 5 a.m. for practice, for hockey practice. And I was sitting at the desk in the office talking to a couple of the parents that I knew. And I heard what was like a sledgehammer being hit against the brick walls right behind me. And it went bang, 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 bang. And the parents and I were like, what the hell is this all about? Right? So we go outside the building and go to the next door, which is a big, 20, 30-foot garage door. And we look inside and there's nobody there because the building is empty. And at that time, there were only 3 tenants in this half-a-mile-long building. Okay, there was us. We were at the far end, and the 2 other businesses were at the other far end at the entry point. And just weird things happened there the entire time. Our ice-making machine, which was bought out of, I think, Germany or someplace like that, it caught fire. An ice making machine. It was the first time in this company's history that the ice making machine caught fire. They don't know to this day what caused it. You'd be off the ice and you'd hear pucks, and a puck against the boards or the plexiglass makes a very distinct sound.
Yeah, it does.
And you would hear pucks on the ice all the time. You'd hear people in the dressing rooms and there'd be nobody there. And you'd hear it all. I mean, weird footsteps, going back to my 21-year-old male attitude, I was seeing a girl, and she lived with her parents. I lived with my parents. Well, there's nobody at the hockey rink, and so we go upstairs in the hockey rink. I unlock it. I lock the door behind me. It's like 2:00 in the morning, and her and I are about to get down to business. We hear the basement door, or the entry door in the floor below us, unlock. We hear it relock. We hear footsteps on the tile. And then we hear the footsteps start coming up the stairs. And I'm like, hello? Hello?
Yeah. Who's there?
Put your pants back on, buddy.
Pretty much. And there was nobody there. There was no, the first thing I did was I looked outside. Okay. I looked outside. There wasn't another car in that parking lot.
Wow.
And then I went downstairs with her and there was nobody there. That freaked her out.
Yeah, I bet.
Was that the end of that relationship?
No,
yeah,
That killed the
Sorry.
romantic time pretty quick there.
Yeah, that can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Definitely do that. You know, when you get where you're like me, I've been around it so much, I've seen it so much. I kind of shrug my shoulders half the time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but then I also try to be there and help other people not be quite so afraid.
We only got about 10 seconds here. I'll get you guys to hold on. And by the way, Laura, that looks like the most cozy chair ever.
It is. It's comfy cozy.
All right, guys. Thank you to our super chatters. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us on in. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We have Carter Bouchard with us till the top of the hour. One of our listeners, Laura, is here, and another listener from the weekend crew, Nicholas Shaughnessy, who's got a great mustache and hair combination going on. He's been growing that mustache since he was 14. It still hasn't filled in. Nicholas, thank you for joining us, bud.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks for the comments. And he's right. The mustache has been growing since 14.
Yeah.
It just doesn't want to grow anymore for some reason. So
Yeah.
I'll trade you. I'll trade you.
Little mascara, fill that in.
That's where I like it.
Yeah.
Nick, what's your spooky encounter that you want to share?
Well, I wasn't sure if Laura was done or not, but I could talk about the time
No.
I heard.
I'm going to duck out. I want to say thanks again, guys. I'm going to go back into the YouTube chat and
All right.
cheer you on.
See you,
Thank you,
Laura.
Laura. We appreciate you.
Dig the hair.
The hair is awesome.
Yeah.
It's got purple hair.
Yeah.
Purple.
So you were pucking around in the rink.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
kidding. What do you got for us,
Imagine
Nick?
what goes on there when nobody's there. I mean, isn't that just
Well, you know what the funny part about it is? So during the break, I was telling our listeners on our YouTube channel and our podcast about this haunted rink that I worked at. And you know what's funny, Carter, was one of the things that happened twice there was whatever it was there, it wasn't a nice spirit. Not a nice spirit whatsoever. And it started exploding the toilets. Like, not like boom, explosion, somebody throws a cherry bomb down the toilet or anything like that. Not like that. I remember it was December 22nd or 23rd of 1995 or 6. And my boss calls me up. He goes, I need you in early. Because I was kind of like the dude of all trades. I would train kids on the ice. Then I'd be the iceman. And then I'd be the janitor. And we all kind of did that, okay, to take care of the place. He goes, I'm busy. I need you to come in early. Something happened in the bathroom that it's just disgusting. Dude, I get there and it was like the toilet vomited about a week's worth of feces and urine all over the walls, the mirror, the 10-foot ceiling. Okay. It was disgusting. I spent 5 hours cleaning that place. And, you know, I puked a couple of times in between. It was horrible. Okay. But by the time I left that bathroom, you could, you know, you could eat anything off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I scrubbed that bathroom clean. Christmas Day, we were closed the 23rd. We're closed the 24th, 25th. My boss calls me up on Christmas Day and starts reaming me a new one. I thought I told you to clean this bathroom. I said, I did. He goes, BS, you did not. He goes, I walk in for our family hockey game today our game with the family, and there is blank, blank, blank all over the walls, the ceiling,
Wow.
everything. Like I didn't touch it. And
Mhm.
nobody had been. By the time I walked out of that rink, that bathroom was spick and span. And by the time he got there, nobody had been in the rink. Now,
Wow.
the funny part about that is my bosses ended up I went off to college, and my bosses, they weren't good businessmen. They were great hockey guys, but not good businessmen. And they ended up losing the rink. Well, it turned into a child's, facility, where they got the big tubes and the ball pits and all that kind of stuff. Turned into one of those. So my daughter happened to be invited a few years later to a birthday party there. This would have been probably 2005 or so, and 2006. And so I take her there, and I'm kind of, we pay, and I said to the owner, I kind of pointed out the owner, and I said to the owner, I said, do you ever have anything weird happen around here? And she kind of shook it off. And no, nothing weird ever happens here. Why do you ask? I said, when's the last time the bathroom exploded? And she went ghost white. And she goes, last week. And I said, you ever hear footsteps around here? I said, I worked in this building when it was a hockey arena. This place is haunted as anything. And she pulled me to the side and she was like, you know about this? She goes, you have to tell me. She goes, there are times when I'm in here and I will be, wiping down all the tubes and the kids are playing in. And she goes, all of a sudden I'll see balls being thrown out of the ball pit and noises being made in there. I'm like, she goes, this place just scares the daylights out of me. I'm like, yeah. They ended up losing their business in that same building. Another hockey company went in there, and they went under just a couple of years ago. Nothing will survive at that spot.
Did anybody check the plumbing? I mean, it sounds like my bathroom after my wife's had Taco Tuesday, But I mean, did anybody ever check the actual physical to see if there was like some kind of, backflow issue? Because that can happen, but not like.
There were two bathrooms back to back. The one bathroom, nothing ever happened. Always in that one. It was always the same bathroom. But it wasn't just that. It was the footsteps. You'd be cleaning the ice, and you'd look up into the top viewing section, and you'd see like what looked to be the figure of a person standing in the window.
Mhm.
Then you turn your head more, and they're gone. Voices, laughed, just weird stuff there. All right, let's get to Big Tex here. What's your story here, kiddo?
Alrighty. It's one that both of y'all know, because I've told both of y'all already, but I'm not sure. It's one I haven't told to the listeners, I don't think. But it's that time when I was out hunting with my buddy, and we heard the woman yelling, help me, in the middle of the woods. So that's a spooky one. It's one of my spookier ones that I've had happen to me. So anyways, I was going out hunting with my buddy last hunting season in December, and we had gone up to this area called the Caddo National Grasslands. It's a public hunting area nearby, and it's got some other private areas nearby. So it's all connected to this national forest. It's kind of what I'm getting at. And it's thousands and thousands of acres, and it's more in northeast Texas. So, those big pine trees and the really thick East Texas woods that you kind of run into over there.
Yeah.
And we're going on a 5-day hunting trip. So we're going to spend 4 nights and 5 days out there, just hoping maybe, do deer hunting. Because that's kind of what you do, right? It's hunting season. Let's go out, spend a couple days in the woods. That way we kind of acclimate and we become part of the woods. That was kind of the plan of it. So, and nothing much really happened. Well, something weird kind of did happen the first day, but I'll get to that after I kind of get to the juice of the story, And anyways, we went out hunting, and when you're out deer hunting, you're up early in the morning. You got to be out there at 4:30, 5 in the morning. Then you got to sit there for an hour as the woods come alive around you. So you're out there at 4:30 in the morning, hiking in the middle of the woods at nighttime, which is already creepy enough as is. Anyone who's done that knows. And you're not sleeping much, so you're already like cranky. Last thing you want is anything weird to be thinking about. But and so it's early mornings and late nights, and this is all after I've had some, Bigfoot stuff happening. So I was already kind of on edge being in the woods at night. But I thought, I need to get back in the woods. This is what it was. I need to get back in the woods at nighttime. I need to enjoy what I used to love. So thought, let's go to this area. I've never been here before. This isn't my normal area where weird things happen, so we'll be fine, right? Everything will be okay. Well, it wasn't. It ended up not being very enjoyable, quite spooky. So, and I agree with Nicole on that. Carter's book is favorite book on Sasquatch. But so on day 4, we had gone up to a north side of the property, and we had, it's just set up as a property, and it's got some dirt roads around the border of the property, so you can kind of drive a car. It's like 400 or 500 acres, so it's pretty big. It's kind of tough to be hiking through the thick woods for hundreds of acres. So we got up at about 4 in the morning, got ready, and by the time we had parked the car on that north side of the property, it was about 4:30ish in the morning. I wasn't checking the exact times, but I should have been around 4:30, 5 in the morning, somewhere in there. Still pitch black. We still got another hour and a half before the sun even starts coming up. So we parked the car. We unloaded everything. Finally got our backpacks, rifles over our shoulder. We're ready to go. This should just be like every other morning. We should just get our rifles, get our backpacks on, go maybe hike a mile or two, set up on a little blind that we got set up, and we're just going to sit there and we're going to hunt till about noontime. Just average day of hunting, right? But we had gotten out of the car and we're starting to hike towards where we were going to hunt. We're going to kind of we're going to go down the road just a little bit, and we're going to split right into the trees, and we're just going to hunt like normal. But when we're walking down this little road, we're not more than 50 yards from the car, right? So we're not very far into our walk. We hear this god-awful screaming in this kind of property to the left. It had a little bit of an opening, but thick forest all behind it. And there was this screaming maybe 100 yards, maybe 150, 200 maybe, out to our left, which is not the direction we're going, but it's still creepy because it's like, what is this screaming we're hearing in the woods at 4:30 in the morning? You don't hear that very often. And I understand everyone says, oh, well, what about a big cat? That was my first reaction to it was, oh, wow, we get to hear maybe there's a mountain lion or a bobcat or something. Maybe a fox is out here and it's yelling, because that's what they do. They really do have these god-awful screams that they do. And anyone who's heard it, it does send a chill down your spine, but this was just kind of different. It was just this darkness that I felt in the air that I'd never felt quite to this degree. And my buddy was on edge too, and we're thinking, okay, that's weird. I was about to tell my buddy, I was like, hey, I think we heard a big cat screaming in the woods. Like it's over to our left in that field over there somewhere. And then it screams again, and halfway through the screen it goes, this is my only way to reenact it because it sounds dumb, but one of those things you kind of have to be there to hear it. But it goes, help me, all in one tone, and then dead silence. No more screaming, no more nothing, just dead. And it sounded like a woman's voice. She was screaming, and then she was yelling, help me, out in the field. And I remember thinking there going, I did not just hear that. like everything inside of me was saying, I did not just hear a woman yelling, "Help me" in the woods. Like, I'm gonna try not. If I was alone, I probably would have just thought, okay, that's weird. I'm gonna act like I didn't hear that. And I'm gonna go get my hunting in. This is our last like morning to go hunting. I don't want to ruin this, right? I want to get lucky today and not have to worry about anything else. But my buddy stops me. You know, he puts his arm out. He's like, "No, no, no. I don't feel right hiking out to the spot. I just heard I think that was a woman. He said he heard a woman English help me in the woods." I sat there and went, well, I really did hear that, didn't I? I really just heard this woman yelling, "Help me in the woods." We both heard it, and we both decided something just feels wrong. This area just feels off. There's this like ominous feeling. It's dead silent. It's dead still, and there's this darkness in the woods. It's almost like imminent death is coming our way, and it's overtaking the area we're in. So we decided we were just going to go sit in the car for a minute. You know, let's just put everything, pack it up. We're not going to put everything 100% away. We're just going to go sit in the car and just kind of feel it out for a minute, just to see if like maybe this feeling will subside, and then we can go hunting because it's our last day. We don't want to have to waste the last day of our trip, right? So we sat there and just never felt right. If anything, that feeling just got thicker. I don't know how to call it. It's almost like this pressure that you feel in the air. It's almost like the world is closing in on you. And we decided, let's head out of here. Like, it's not worth it. And my mind went to, I always heard something about the Native Americans talking about if you hear a woman yelling, "Help me" in the woods, or a baby crying, you're not supposed to be there. Like, you should leave right away. Yeah. So that's where my mind went straight to was, I'm not supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be here. It's 4:30 in the morning. And we decided to get in the car and leave, but I had my hood popped because I was having a little radiator fan problem. So I had to go plug the fan in and close the hood. When I stopped on the road, we only drove off about 20 feet. I stopped the car and was like, oh, I need to close my hood. Not even thinking about like, just let it ride the latch, right? Let's just drive and get out of here. I got out of the car and it was almost like a sedated feeling of like, I don't know. It almost felt like kind of sedated. I went, oh, I have to close the hood. So like I got out, went to go close the hood, and it felt like between where my front door and the hood of the car was, I thought I was going to die within that 5 feet. The imminent feeling of like, I'm not going to make it back in the car. Like, I'm actually going to die before I make it into the car, which is like so out of place. So I ended up not dying, obviously, because I'm here talking with y'all, but
yeah, we're glad for that.
Yeah, I'm glad for it too, but I ended up making it back in the car, and I was actually hyperventilating. I remember I jumped in the car, closed the door, threw it in drive, and spun the tires off, just trying to leave. Like, everything inside of me was like, go. And that feeling didn't subside till we were like pretty much back on the straightaway towards where our campsite was on the front of the property. So like we had like 1.5 miles, 2 miles of just dirt roads to drive to get back. And I was hyperventilating to the point I thought I was going to have to pull over and like let my buddy hop in the seat. Then again, I was like, well, I don't feel right just yet. I don't feel even comfortable stopping the car. But I remember I was hyperventilating. I thought I was going to pass out, and just a creepy morning. One of the creepiest mornings I've ever had out in the woods. And luckily I wasn't alone, because I probably would have brushed it off until that feeling got really close. And then the skinwalker probably would have got me and I wouldn't be here talking to y'all. So, yeah. And another crazy part about that story was the first morning we went up to that same spot where we'd actually sat on that road the first morning when we were out just exploring the property. We sat there eating beef jerky, drinking some water. So we've been hiking for a couple miles at this point, and we got up to leave and we thought, oh, let's just sit here and hunt till the sun goes down, which is something you shouldn't do when you're in an area you haven't been to before. But oh well, we're hunters. We know what to do. We have GPS. Well, we didn't have GPS. The compasses, the GPS, everything went dead. And we ended up getting turned around. We thought, okay, my compass says we are going southeast. That's where camp is. We're on the northwest portion of the property. We need to go southeast to that bottom corner, and that's where camp is. Just walk this direction. Follow your compass. Well, we didn't. We thought we were walking one way. We ended up walking a full-on circle. We walked right back up to that road, right where we had sat, to the same exact spot we heard the "Help Me in the Woods" when we were standing there listening to that. The compasses stopped working. Our GPS stopped working, and it brought us right back to that same spot, which I didn't think about until a couple days after. My buddy was like, hey, Remember how we got turned around that first morning? And he kept trying to like tell me, he's like, I think we walk into a portal or something. I'm like, dude, you're being crazy. We didn't walk into a portal. We just got lost in the woods, whatever. But the more I thought about it, I thought something wanted to meet us from the sounds of it, you know? So yeah, that is one of these.
That is right out of the
got.
Blair Witch Project. Right out of the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Don't like
I
that
don't like
at
it
all.
either.
And there's a lot of Native American tales of that nature, you know, like you said, skinwalkers or, you know, the pale whites or whatever is waiting for you, you know. Oh, well, somebody needs help. Let's go. I mean, it'll suck you right in, you know, until you
What's
get
the
creepy
trickster
feeling, you know.
aspect? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
big tough
Guys,
hunters trying to go help the women
Okay.
at 4:30 in the morning, you know.
I want to get to one question here because we only got about 3.5 minutes. This is from the Doug Shelby. How can you and other abducted people, multiple time abducted, not just absolutely hate those jerks? I would say for me, it's different every time. I mean, it's a curiosity that once you get that itch, you just want to keep scratching it. As silly as that sounds, how about for you, Carter?
I never felt ill will. I mean, I felt a sense of relief once it happened. You know, you have no control over it. So I can't hate them. I mean, they have a job to do, whatever it is they're doing with us, to us, for us. We have no control. And it's probably to further some agenda that we have no control over. So yeah, I never had a bad experience, not that I'm aware of, you know. I've been under 4 times, so I think I'm pretty sure that those are the only experiences I've had. So I don't feel any kind of hate or remorse or anger toward what happened, because we're all here together talking about these things, and that's what it's supposed to be. Because somebody right now, Dave and Nick, somebody right now is going, honey, you got to tell them. We got to tell them what happened. Somebody right now has had this same experiences or very similar and have said nothing for fear of ridicule. And here we are talking about it. And somebody's going, you got to say something. Call Dave, call Carter, call Nick, do something. We're not alone. That's, so I don't have any frustration with it myself. I find it very intriguing. I'm flattered to have been chosen, but I have no choice,
No, they don't give you a choice. I mean, that's the sucky part about it. But I mean, at some point you have to just cope with it and try and find out what is going on. For me, it's all about curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
It's about curiosity. See where it goes. We got time for one more question. 90 seconds. Question from Joe in California. On your point, what percentage of cryptids and creatures are actually doing a job rather than just screwing with us?
Well, I'd say probably 50-50. There are ones that do screw with you. They're impish. They're little smart ass, juveniles that are playing tricks and just to see if you can catch them. But I think they do have an agenda. And I think their agenda is to make us treat each other better, treat the world better, the planet, especially the planet and ecological issues. I think that's what they're here to keep us from killing each other and tearing the planet up. So, but there are some that are just mischievous and they mess with you. I know that. I mean, I know they jack with you because they have a sense of humor.
I hear you there, gentlemen. It has been a slice. Nick, thank you so much for hopping on in with us. Your hair and mustache combination looks great. And thank you, Carter Bouchard. We should say that Carter will be back on mid-month here on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to get real heavy into Sasquatch of the year it was for investigations. And I always highly suggest you pay attention to what guys like Carter say, because they're coming at it from the proper way. They leave no stone unturned. And we're going to get into Bigfoot with Carter in a couple of weeks. Coming up next, little Timmy Senor, the Timbit, will be here for the UFO report. Then, of course, Swamp Dweller will kick off the hour. Shirky Poo's got the news. A jam-packed hour 3 coming up next on Spaced Out Radio. Great job, gents.
Yeah,
Great
good
job.
show.
Yeah.
And hardly, a few things about Sasquatch. Really, it's the weirdness. There's portals and dimensions. There's stuff going on all around us. I was watching Ron Moorhead on an interview yesterday, which is really interesting. And I've known this. We all know this, but
I'll be right back. You guys chat away.
Yeah. Well, I'll probably be gone when you get back, Dave. See ya. But humans, we can't see at night. Even a bug can see at night. There's so many things going on around us. The perception of vibrational frequencies and dimensions. There's things going on all around us, and we're all walking right by each other. We never see or interact, except on rare occasions when the portals and dimensions do connect. So it's just fascinating to know all the stuff that's going on all around us, and then we do not perceive the world around us at all, because we have created we got computers, we got cars, we got grocery stores, we got TVs, computers, everything. We've made things that do things for us. We become lazy, and we're completely and utterly at the mercy of those that can see and act in a world that we don't even see. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
We're just removed.
Yeah, I feel left out. Yeah, I feel left out. It's like, oh man, God, that sucks. Because there's, I've seen my fair share of stuff. You have, and experienced it and heard it, and so it's there. Most of me wants to be a bigger part of it. I have not gotten any fear out of it yet, where I'm like,
oh, I have.
done with it.
Where I wish sometimes.
Yeah,
I didn't know about all this, but I go to the woods a lot because that's like my hobby is hunting and fishing and hiking, where it's like I'm out there all the time. Sometimes I freak myself out because, I'll be out there pig hunting at 12 o'clock in the morning, pitch black, alone. You can kind of freak yourself out, So
oh, yeah.
But I'm glad I know.
What was that? Yeah. What was that? Yeah. You hear shit all the time, but I do it to interact with them as best as I can. And I know they're here in my house from time to time. I don't know if it's a Sasquatch or what or who it is, but there's something.
Well, I think it could be. Things happen to people things happen to me. I've already talked to you about. You know what I mean? You already know. Like, I kind of stopped looking for these things because things started showing up at home, and it's like, all right, I didn't sign up for this side of the whole. Looking for big.
I've got a 3-page list, Word document. Nice small print. Every time something happens, I type it up. I got this list. It's called Weirdness at Home or Strangeness at Home. And it's just every couple, 2-3 weeks, something will happen.
Holy cow.
Something tapped me on the head the other night while we were watching TV. And then the very next night, our TV just gets turned off and the remote on the coffee table just moves just a little.
That's creepy.
Yeah, but there's no, other than creeping yourself out with, I wonder what that is. I'm not getting any sense of foreboding, but I'm used to it. You're used to it. I mean, you go out and you're exposed to stuff, the women screaming and your other interactions and the gifting and stuff. There's something going on. So if you accept it, you don't freak out so bad. I think people put a negative connotation on some of this shit just because, oh my God. Well, was there any negativity other than your reaction? No. Well, then it's you. Embrace it or accept it. You don't have to embrace it, but just accept it, and stuff's going to go on around it. It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
So it was a good show, guy. I enjoyed the shit out of that. That was awesome.
That was good. First time you didn't swear on the air.
I hardly ever swear. I'm very conscious of that. Aren't I, motherfucker?
All I'm going to say is this, my friend. Thank you, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
All right, we'll see you.
All right.
See you, Nick.
All right,
Good talking to you.
Nick.
Later.
All right.
See you later, buddy.
See you
All
later,
right.
y'all. Have a good one.
See you, buddy. All right. Thank you to Carter Bouchard, Nick, coming on in, and of course Pixie Lara earlier as well. Vaughn Patrick, thank you so much for the super chat, along with Delta, Donna, Steve, Mennonite Abe, Lara, Susie, and Pam. Very much appreciate the love and support you guys give Spaced Out Radio all the time, and it's a great way to support the show. 102 thumbs up so far. Thank you so much. It really helps with our algorithms. After the show, if you could do us a favor, leave a comment down below, and it would really help us out with the algorithms as well. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, go to our website, spacedoutradio.com. We got some great swag there for you. And I know a lot of you have been buying the swag. Thank you so much for doing that. I want some pictures of you guys in it so we can put them on our website, and you can actually download them yourselves as well, and we'll get them up there if you don't mind. So we really appreciate it. Wow, what a great show. Thank you for being here while we kick things off here. Tomorrow night, we kick off November with Geraldine Orozco, so that'll be a great show once again. And, we love having all of you here. I love being here with you guys. I really do. And the UFO report is coming up here. So let's get ready. Here comes hour number 3 in 5 seconds.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Phasmophobia. Phasmophobia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Oh, you guys have to see the Timbit coming up here. This is awesome. It's time once again to head to the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller takes us on another spooky journey.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. My name is Mickey. I have no other explanation for this story, so I thought I'd share it here. I just turned 16 years old and decided on my birthday to stay and visit my sister, who lives in Cleveland, which is about an hour's drive away from my hometown. I had been there for a few days already, and since my birthday is on the 23rd of June, the 4th of July is right around the corner. I had been upstairs in the attic for a few days sleeping, playing GTA, and doing some other things to keep me occupied because I had nothing else to do since I couldn't drive yet and my sister was at work most of the time. One night, my sister Morgan and her boyfriend Nate were sitting downstairs in the living room watching TV when Nate asked if we wanted to go to this secluded park and light some fireworks off. I immediately said sure because I had nothing better to do and I knew some of the parks were secluded from the big city from Cleveland. So, after about an hour of persuading Morgan to go, we all jump into his car. It's about 75 degrees out and it's about 1:30 a.m. It's a relatively nice night. We were driving for about 15 minutes when we finally reached this park. We are going down this giant hill when it suddenly gets exceptionally dark. There's no light pollution and no other artificial light, just what you can see from the headlights. We're driving for 10 minutes when I see a deer on the side of the road, which is typical for a wooded park, right? I look out my window and for a brief second, I see what looks like a giant deer face with glowing yellow eyes jerk behind this tiny tree and disappear entirely. I don't usually get freaked out by deer, but something about how fast it moved and how it just disappeared made me feel unsettled. It just looked wrong, and I'm pretty sure deer's eyes shouldn't be glowing that way. We finally arrive at a parking lot facing a giant field and the other side being woods. I still had a very unsettling feeling that I could not shake off. When we got out of the car, I noticed it had gotten cold outside, which doesn't make sense because it was just warmer out a minute ago. I felt a noticeable chill. I was leaning on the car and my sister's boyfriend went to set up his firework. I still felt we needed to leave, but I couldn't shake off this feeling, so I told my sister that we should hurry up and go because I felt weird. My sister, stubborn, just said to me that I have too much superstition and need to chill out. I watched the fireworks go off and we all looked at the stars for a little bit. After getting in the car, we sat for a bit when I heard branches breaking and heavy footsteps. The feeling I had before worsened, so I told my sister and boyfriend we really had to get home. I noticed off in the tree line that there looked to be a deer, but there was something off about this deer. From what I could tell from the silhouette, it was standing on its hind legs, just staring at us, seemingly trying to hide behind a tree. While doing so, we eventually started driving off. Once we all got home, I still felt off about what I saw. I couldn't shake that feeling either. There was no way a deer had a big face like that, and there was no way it could stand on its hind legs just staring at people for such a long time. The feeling I got was not expected. Afterward, I went upstairs to my attic room where my sister and I watched TV. I like to leave my windows open because the breeze from the lake feels good at night. I also like listening to the traffic and crickets, and occasionally, you can hear the birds early in the morning. It was about 3:30 to 4 when my sister and I were sitting there, and I told her what I saw. She shook it off and told me I had probably just seen a deer. Then I noticed outside that I didn't hear anything. It was just quiet. That isn't normal at all for Cleveland, and not the peaceful quiet, the eerie type of quiet. Then I heard a very loud whistling coming from different parts of the neighborhood. I thought there was no way a human would be whistling that loud. It just emanated from so far but never lost its volume, let alone it was coming from all different directions at the same time. I closed the curtains and asked my sister if she heard it, and she replied with, "What are you talking about? I don't hear anything." Then the unsettling feeling set in again, and my stomach sank. I didn't sleep a wink that night. I still don't know what I saw that day nor what was whistling, but I'm hoping that I never have to see it again or hear it again.
We love the Swamp Dweller around here, and you can hear him in the third hour each and every Monday through Friday night here on Spaced Out Radio. Or if you wish to hear thousands of his stories just like that for free, go to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. youtube.com/Swamp Dwellers Reads, and you can listen in like I do each and every night. We always thank the Swamp Dweller around here. All right, it is time once again where we get to the UFO report. Their Timbit himself, little Timmy Seymour, returns.
Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know.
And we say hello to Tim Seymour with the UFO report. Now, Tim, right before you just undressed, I mean, you were looking like Dr. Evil there for a couple of seconds. That's why I was laughing. Were you Dr. Evil for Halloween?
Hi, Dave. No, I wasn't. I was kind of like this zombie sort of dude, and I had my black sweats on. But yeah, dude, it's just way too hot. I'm steaming up my glasses. I was gonna freak out your audience, but it just gets so hot in this mini studio so quick. Couldn't hack it.
You know what was really cool today? I saw, very rare does this happen in my territory. So here I am driving to work, and it's like around 9 o'clock this morning. And who do I see drive by me? The tour bus of Steve-O from Jackass.
No way. What is
Yeah,
he doing up there?
I don't know.
That's
I
just bizarre.
literally,
Doesn't he do? I think he does a mobile podcast, doesn't he?
I don't know. Oh, he's going up to Prince George, north of me, and then
Okay.
Dawson Creek. So he was heading for another 3 hours.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How cool.
I'll tell you. Yeah. So
Does he
I
have
was
his face on the
excited.
side of the bus going?
Yes, exactly what you think. His big
That's
big
great.
head on the side of the bus with Steve-O plastered
cool.
all over top of it.
I mean,
It
if
was
you're gonna
absolutely-
roll, that's the way to do it right there. He's
Now-
the ultimate self-promoter. I think that's fantastic.
Now, for people who don't understand, like a lot of people will see the tour buses. You know, like when I lived back near the Lower Mainland in Abbotsford, British Columbia, we saw tour buses all the time because the border was right there.
Right.
And so what would happen is a lot of the buses, they would come into Vancouver and then they would start their Canadian tour in Vancouver and then head east. So we would see a bunch of the tour buses. But that's like coming up north, I'm more used to seeing hockey team buses.
Right.
Okay, because there's a lot of hockey teams that have buses up here, you know, so it's cool when you see them. But to actually see a true tour bus with Steve-O planted on the side,
That's
that
cool.
was fantastic.
I love it.
Absolutely fantastic.
How was your Halloween? Did you guys have fun?
We did. My little guy was a scary jack-o'-lantern. I went as a big slice of pizza.
Awesome.
Mrs. SOR was dressed up like a Sasquatch, which was
That's
awesome.
cool. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
and then we went with our good friends Mark and Tara Spender. Mark wasn't dressed up in anything but camouflage because that's the only piece of clothing he owns. Tara was dressed up like a whoopee cushion and had the farting machine that was with her. And then their daughter Katie was dressed up as she, I think it was like a Minecraft character or something like that. But she makes her own costumes and she's just very talented.
That's awesome.
Very talented.
So much fun.
Yes.
What a great holiday.
You know what was sad though? Like this is the first time I really noticed it. There was only maybe one out of every 3 houses that was lit up this year.
Mm-hmm. We had the same thing here. Yeah.
Like, what's with that?
Yeah. Not even decorated.
No lights on, no decorations.
Yeah.
You know,
Get with the program.
Like,
Man, come on,
I'm
y'all.
sorry. You know, like when I lived in a subdivision, all right, we
Best part of the year.
always had somebody manning our candy. Even when we took our kids out,
Oh yeah.
there was always somebody manning the candy. Whether it was my
Even
mom
if you have to leave out a bowl with a sign.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Party poopers.
But I mean, about 1 out of every 3 houses was dark. And I was just like, you know, like, get with the program, you bunch of Scrooges.
It's a little candy. Come on, y'all. Get it.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go on the Rant and Rave page and stir it up a little bit.
In your neighborhood.
You know, in the neighborhood, just
There
say,
you
hey,
go.
you know, like, what's with you Scrooges on
Yeah.
Halloween? We don't have that many religious people in this town.
And it's a big deal for the little guys.
Okay, can I rant here for a second?
Oh yeah. It's your show.
Okay, I appreciate that. I don't know about you guys in your community or whatever, but do you not get sick of the hypocrisy that we see where the churches, they're all like, oh, we can't celebrate Halloween. It's an evil night and everything like that. But they have all the congregation's children come to on Halloween night for candy and games and fireworks. Is that not celebrating the same thing? Yes, they call it a festivity or a costume festivity or whatever they want to call it. But is that not doing the same thing? I mean, are we that?
Dave, they're celebrating something different though, buddy.
I understand that.
I'm just
I do.
playing literally
I
devil's
do.
advocate.
But you can't just,
I
you know,
agree with you. It's
you
yeah,
can't just change the name and say it's something different.
and it's tough on those
'Cause
little kiddos too. They're feeling, that segregation or whatever.
It
But I get
drives me
it.
nuts.
Me
It
too.
drives me nuts.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Allow the children to go out with their friends and stop being fake.
Go back
I'm
to shirts
sorry.
and skins. Get rid of the bibs. I'm
And the
just kidding.
participation badges while we're
That's
at it.
right. That's right.
Oh, God.
The attaboys.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk some UFOs, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Dan-
mean, dig in
Daniel
anywhere
Otis,
you like.
Daniel Otis does it again, reporting for CTV News up here in Canada, that we finally have the reports we all speculated that were there, where he was able to turn in 5 times where Canadian CF-18 Hornets were intercepting or called to intercept unidentified aerial phenomena. Tell me about it.
That's right. While we're handing out those attaboys, include Daniel Otis in that list. I like how you reshuffled my news for the night and put this one up at the top. So you didn't get to hear me rant and rave about New York Times article.
I'm waiting on that one. I'm waiting on that one.
Don't. Oof. So 5 Canadian UFO cases that caused a federal response, including scrambling fighter jets. While the Canadian government and military usually don't respond to reports of unidentified flying objects, there have been some recent exceptions, including cases where CF-18 fighter jets were scrambled. So this week, the U.S. intelligence community is set to release a new report on unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UAP, the terms that American officials have now settled on. And so the both Pentagon and NASA now are currently researching this topic. So for its part, the Canadian military routinely states it does not typically investigate sightings of unknown or unexplained phenomena outside the context of investigative or credible threats or potential threats or even potential distress in cases of search and rescue. And so neither does Canada's Transportation Department, which operates on an online aviation incident database that's peppered with nearly 3 decades of unusual reports from soldiers, police officers, air traffic controllers, pilots, military, medical cargo, and passenger flights operated by all kinds of independent and commercial airliners. And so in most cases, there is little or no follow-up whatsoever. So those reports received by the Transport Canada are assessed, but often not followed up on unless there is any immediate risk to either aviation safety or the security or to the Canadian public. And so a Transport Canadian spokesperson previously told CTV News that reports of unidentified objects can rarely be followed up on as they are the title implies, unidentified. And so I'm just going to skip down to some of the meat of this incredible article that Mr. Otis has brought forward.
Sure.
Because on December 22nd, in one of these 5 examples in 2016, evasive action had to be taken on an American Airlines flight from London to New York, where it was more than 300 kilometers south of Goose Bay, Labrador. And so it was reported that a possible aircraft off its left side and below, according to the publicly available Transport Canada report. Air Traffic Control, ATC, and the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, did not observe any radar data to confirm the report. And so it as continued here, referring to the joint Canadian-US Continental Defense Group, 2, and I quote, 2 other aircraft reported a possible target. So they were getting 3 reports on this one. Ended up being classified report. And so once classified or secret, the digital logbook entries from the Royal Canadian Air Force provide more details. And so that is just one. Skipping down to the very next one, we have another unknown track in 2018 where CF-18s from Quebec were scrambled on an investigative mission on an unknown track detected steadily heading towards North America. And so that was another one that was not reporting through NORAD whatsoever. A third case seen entering the water September 3rd of 2018. And the documents obtained from the RCAF 413 transport described a cormorant search and a rescue helicopter being dispatched to the North Shore Prince Edward Island on the night of September 3rd, 2018, in search of an unidentified object after concerned citizens saw something fall into the water and could neither confirm nor deny having a person on board, clearly labeled a UFO sighting. Again, an unknown coming in again in 2020. And we're just seeing these reports fly in. A shape like an upright donut or inner tube was spotted back in 2016. And so this report coming in from CTV News is just chock full of details, and we're just scratching the surface. What are your immediate thoughts? Daniel Otis is really doing a great job bringing this to us.
Well, it confirms what I learned a number of years ago in talking to an RCMP officer who claimed that the minute the reports go in, and when those reports go from the staff sergeant's desk, excuse me, at depot or at the police station, when they head to the RCMP headquarters in Ottawa, which immediately files it with NORAD, that NORAD scrambles 2 CF-18s to try and intercept these craft. This confirms everything that I was told about 5-6 years ago in regards to this. So I like the fact that we are finally getting to this point. I like the fact that the CF-18s are now being included in this story, not because it's military, but because we now know that they are called publicly to scramble in these cases. I wish some of the pilots would come forward. However, the one thing about Canadian military is there's a real brother sisterhood that goes along in there, where if one is silent, they're all going to be silent. They may talk to you off the record, but I don't see any pilots in the near future talking on the record about it. But when that dam breaks, which I hope will be soon, and when I say soon, let's hope for the next couple of years, I really do believe we're going to get some intense stories. Really do.
Absolutely. And this is a great, fresh article that I encourage everybody to go and check out. As of today, it just got released. So this is some great, up-to-date information coming on this from Canada. Fantastic reporting.
Now, there is a report, as we continue on here, there is a report about a John Ramirez, who's allegedly ex-CIA or current CIA, but just kind of getting close to retiring, went on a podcast recently and said some pretty open things about UFOs and abductees. What have you learned about this?
Yeah, so he was recently interviewed. I believe it was on Calling All Beings. And so this interview was brought to my attention, and there was an excerpt out of it that was really very interesting and quite revealing. And I think a quote from this would be that he called this next piece of information a quote unquote core secret, which he said he doesn't like to use often, but when he does use it, we should probably pay attention. And so what he was considering to be a core secret within the government is that implants are a reality, and that people that are abducted have these implants put in their bodies. For what reason, it's still unknown, but it's well known to the government that they exist. And that was the core secret that he felt was really important, that everyone needed to know. And he actually revealed that before he'd been cleared to tell it. And so hopefully there's no repercussion, but I feel that is a really interesting and heavy piece of information because of all of the implications.
Well, let's hold off on this until we get back from break, because I do want to go over this just for a couple more minutes, because John Ramirez is one of those real mystery men to me. And he come out of nowhere, said a few things, went back in the dark, and now he seems to be going public again. We need to talk about that when we return on the UFO Report with our resident tidbit, Tim Senor. We'll be back on Spaced Out Radio for the final half hour when we return right after this. All right, we're clear. I wanted to give you the most time to talk about that.
About Ramirez?
No, about the New York Times article.
Oh, you're funny. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to let you rant for once.
Yeah.
Little Timmy's pissed off, people.
Well.
Pissed off.
Yeah. I mean, we all are. It's not just me. We all should be. Because, you know, to show, it's such a one-sided article, right? And it's showing you all of the things that...
Oh, just wait, buddy.
Yeah.
Just wait. Just wait.
Where's Rosenthal? Who had the original New York Times article?
Ralph Blumenthal, Leslie
Thank you,
King,
Blumenthal. That was what I was thinking.
and Elaine Cooper. Super Quest. Sally Elka, how are you?
Warm.
Warm. Mm-hmm. I got snow in my yard.
Nice. Do you usually have it by this time?
No, but I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but I don't want it there.
Yeah. There was a dude in my neighborhood that installed coils below his driveway. What a dick. Genius, but dick.
What did he do?
He had heating coils below his driveway so nothing would land or melt. Like it just instantly melted away when stuff landed on his driveway in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One of them guys.
Yeah. I was out there with a snowblower at like 4 a.m. hating him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll never get up at 4 a.m. to do my driveway.
We didn't always have a snowblower either. We always had a massive driveway. Sometimes we had to shovel it. I remember shoveling that thing by the moonlight so we could get out in the morning for school and whatnot. They didn't have snow days in New York, upstate New York. When I was a kid in the 70s, they were just like, bah.
Send the little bastards. Our kids go to school here until it hits minus 36 Celsius. So that would be about minus 30 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And then the buses shut down. And then we shut everything down at like minus 40.
Yeah, when the kids are getting blown over, it's time to maybe cancel school.
I'm just not ready for the cold yet. I mean, after this summer, it was an incredible summer. There wasn't a lot of mosquitoes. It was a long summer. It was.
Yeah.
And I'm just not ready for snow. Not ready for it.
You got used to the cushiness of summertime.
Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's why I'm sitting in here going outside now in a t-shirt. I
Getting yourself ready.
Well, you have to tone down your
Conditioning.
body temperature.
Yeah.
It is. You know, the funny part about it is it's around -1 Celsius right now. So what's that, about 31 degrees Fahrenheit? And the funny part about it is in about 2-3 months, this -1 is going to be t-shirt weather, and it's going to be warm, and it's going to be like, oh, I can't wait. It feels like you're thawing out, and -1, you're breaking a sweat. And seriously, it's hilarious.
It's hard to dress for those days.
I just can't stand getting acclimated. Donald Dean, how are you?
Hey, man, I'm rereading a really good book.
Good. Hold on to that. We got 15 seconds. Thank you to Vaughn, Delta, Donna, Steve, Mennonite Abe, Lara, Susie, and Pam for the super chats tonight. Very much appreciated. Thank you to everyone who's given us a thumbs up, thumbs down. Don't forget to leave a comment after the show. Here we go. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway as we rounded third and we're heading for home tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate it. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go. We got Tim Cedar here. Once again, we were talking about John Ramirez right before the break, a former CIA agent talking about UFOs, and briefly just describe again what he said on one of those podcasts and what we should pay attention to.
That's right. And so recently on Calling All Beings, he was being interviewed and giving away some of what he called, quote unquote, core secrets. And the most important one being that he felt it was important for us to know that implants were a reality. And so maybe the hardest part of an abduction is having an implant put in, and the government knows all about it and has done for years. And it's, quote unquote, one of the core secrets that people within the CIA or the government are aware of. And so, Dave, that's a pretty distressing topic. And it's also a little distressing that they have knowledge and seem to be pretty passive about it.
Yeah. I mean, John Ramirez, I think if he went on some of the bigger name shows, because he really hasn't. I think if he went on some of the bigger name shows out there, the information that he would be providing would be massive to the UFO reach out there. I'd like to see him do that. He's a hard one to get hold of. We have tried to get a hold of him, and we're just not there yet. But I mean, hey, if he starts giving this information on bigger formats, man, where this could go and what he knows, this could really blow him up.
Right. And so we have to understand that he has the same role in the parlance of people like Richard Doty. And so although we may be getting little tidbits of core secrets, I have to wonder how much of it is dabbled with disinformation and whether there is any disinformation. And so I am always still skeptical, even hearing it from the horse's mouth, as of course I always will be. But Dave, I do like to think that at least potentially some of this is going to be coming out into more of the public purview. And so it's not such a buzzword and such a sensitive topic. I know it must be for the people that experience it, but for the people that don't, they need to understand that it is potentially a reality. It needs to be part of the vernacular and not something that isn't discussed at our next public hearing. We should have that sort of thing represented.
I agree. And you know what? John would be one of those good guys, John Ramirez, we're talking about here, would be one of those good guys that we really need to be sitting in front of Congress talking about this stuff, talking about what he knows. I mean, there's a guy who's already pushing the limits on his NDAs. Whether that's a setup or not, I don't know. But if it is, it's very important news. Very important news. Let's move on here. Handwritten notes by founder of the FBI reveals details of crashed UFOs. What's this all about?
Absolutely. And so this article coming in from Curismos is talking about a handwritten note that has recently been found from the founder of the FBI that reveals details on crashed UFOs. And so, believe it or not, it's a handwritten note between the founder of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover himself, and his right-hand man, Calvin Coolidge. I'm sorry, that is incorrect. I am misreading this article. I need to skip down to who that was exactly to. But the details of recovery by the military and an alleged UFO crash. And so during his 48-year tenure as director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover served under all presidents from Calvin Coolidge to Richard M. Nixon. And so he has been praised for making the FBI one of the best law enforcement agencies in the world. But why not many people are perhaps aware of is, but what not many people are perhaps aware of is that Hoover had quite an interest in UFOs, and this interest dates back to 1947. And so let's talk a little bit more about this note that was recently recovered. And so one of Hoover's closest friends was a man called Clyde Tolson. And on the handwritten note, Clyde asks Hoover to consider a request by Army Brigadier General George F. Shulgin from July 10th of 1947, where he requests the, quote, help of the FBI in locating and questioning individuals who first sighted the so-called flying discs. And this request was sent to Hoover just days after the most famous UFO case in history took place in Roswell, New Mexico. And so what is perhaps most striking in that is that Hoover's response tells us that the U.S. intelligence likely knew from the beginning about the crashed UFOs and that they were very excited, in fact, to examine them. And so we have the actual handwritten note, and it was actually given credit now to both the FBI and the Black Vault for getting this out here to the public. Is this exciting? What does this make you think?
You know, I like going back in history because I believe that this type of news really helps lay a foundation for where we are today, because so much of ufology has been thrown to the gutter with claims that we can only look back to 2004 and the USS Nimitz incident. I don't like that about ufology. I like hearing stuff like this. I like hearing stuff about Project Blue Book. And the fact is, we're starting to see every now and again these new puzzle pieces arrive that add to the edges of the puzzle that we were looking for. John Greenwald does an incredible job, love him or hate him, and I think John's a good hard worker. John is a very studious guy when it comes to trying to get this type of information. He wants those outer edges of the puzzle pieces so we can start putting the middle pieces together. And I really think that this opens up new avenues. It shows the FBI has been involved literally since day one, almost, in the modern era. My modern era is 1947. I don't know about yours or anybody else's. 2004 is just a facade. It is a curtain to confirmation. But if you want to learn real ufology, we need to know what's happened since 1947. What's your thoughts on that, Tim?
Man, I totally 100% agree. In fact, a big part of my learning process has been to search out a lot of that history and get my hands on hopefully some of those original files and really dig into them. Part of my personal journey and my research is the history. You have to understand what's happened in the past and how it's been handled in order to understand what's going to happen, what could potentially be happening, and how it's being handled. 100% agree with you. I personally found this article and this release of information via the Black Vault to be massive. This shows Hoover's direct knowledge of this taking place. He's asking for the witnesses. He wants to hear the details. He has deep interest. So by no means do I think that cover-up was a mistake. It leads me down the path of, believing that cover-up absolutely took place. And for whatever reason, Hoover had absolute knowledge, and was digging.
Oh, I agree. And going from Hoover to Eisenhower and all of them in that era, they were in the know. That's when presidents still had a lot of pull. That's when they still had a lot of knowledge. And this is where, somebody as admirable as Grant Cameron does his best digging is when he was really focused on the president's side of UFOs, and I'll tell you, it was we need to know those eras. We really need to know those eras and what's going on, because I think in the end, like I said, people who are convinced today that what we are seeing is disclosure is not disclosure. I don't care if aliens show up on the front lawn of the White House. What we're getting today is nowhere near disclosure. We need to know what's going on. People like John Ramirez, Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, and others know what happened prior to 2004 and after. That includes alien contact, crash retrievals, everything that you can name. That's where we need to go. Final topic tonight. We're going to take it right to the top of the hour here, Tim. I know you are, finally, it's not me who's upset. Okay? It's not me. It's you this time. You're very disappointed in the latest New York Times article on UFOs. What's going on here? Set it up.
Well, I miss Ralph Blumenthal is what's up. I was so excited when he wrote his initial article in the New York Times, breaking this story wide open to the US and really making the world aware that this was a reality and that the military were taking it seriously. And I think that was perhaps our first foray into it. And once that media giant took up the baton, all the other media little semi-performers followed in track, and that has become a massive legacy story. And then we see this minutes before we get this year's report, seemingly to undermine, if you will, all of its potency. And, coming out with the headline that many military UFO reports are just foreign spying or airborne trash. Leading with that is very disheartening to somebody that knows this, whoever's writing this article knows for a fact that they're highlighting the negative, right? Instead of highlighting the positive, because even if you want to go by what this article continues to say, that half of these things are military and other, and we can explain them off, you're leaving out the massive elephant in the room, which is the other half, right? And I understand you don't want to give away your means and methods because we do have enemies that are interested in how we score our points. But at the same rate, you need to be a little bit more clear on the fact that there are still big question marks out there, because this is the push. The push is that we're looking at something we're not sure about. We're over the fact that it may be a threat. We're over the fact that it may not be a threat. So why are we suddenly discussing the fact that and highlighting the fact that a lot of these reports are just spying airborne trash?
Could be. Could very well be. But I mean, here's the thing that I would like to know, because I haven't read the article yet, Tim. Okay, I've been preoccupied with other stuff, so I do apologize for not being as prepared on this one as I normally should be. But was it an op-ed piece or was it an actual journalism piece with quotes? Your microphone's on mute.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is absolutely an op-ed piece, the same way the first article from Blumenthal, I'm sorry, yeah, from Mr. Blumenthal was. But my point is that you're pushing a different narrative now. This is a completely different shift that we're seeing. Something that was completely groundbreaking and eye-opening is now going back and back shifting, kind of the way we've seen with a number of people that have been quote unquote pushing disclosure. We're seeing them on their back foot for some reason, the Navy backing out of releasing any more information. Obviously, this next report is supposed to have some information that's interesting, but again, it's classified to the depth that it will never become public, any of that.
Well, it also goes to show, too, that there is a division in journalism regarding this topic. There are those out there who are still believing that this is way too sci-fi. It's not news. There's no little green men reporting on it. A journalist's job is not to give opinion. Okay? That's what columnists are for. And too many times we have journalists out there who are giving their opinion through their words in a story.
Mm-hmm. Let me give you the only quote really that I'm seeing here. And so this is coming from Susan Go. And she's the Defense Department spokeswoman. And so she's saying that the Pentagon remains committed to principles of openness, but must balance that with its quote, its obligation to protect sensitive information, sources, and methods, just like I was explaining. And while the Pentagon will not, quote, rush to conclusions in our analysis, end quote, Ms. Go said, no single explanation addresses the majority of unidentified aerial phenomena reports. And then into the next quote, we are collecting as much data as we can, following the data where it leads, and will share our findings whenever possible. And so, again, that is not clear how much intelligence there is to report and how much there will be to be made public. And that is all of the quote that this article is surrounding, other than in many cases, observed phenomena are classified as unidentified simply because sensors were not able to collect enough information to make a positive attribution. And so it sounds again like Miss Go is referring to cameras and radar and devices and perhaps playing off on their lack of stability to give them even the correct data. So now they're pushing off the blame on their optics. So although other officials insist that even though the evidence is imperfect, the grainy videos do not show quote unquote space aliens. So this is why I was getting warm.
But of course not. There is no space aliens. I mean, this shows the ignorance of somebody who has perused around the subject but never really dealt in. Probably watched a few television shows, maybe a couple of documentaries, all right, of real silly, foolish type Hangar 18 type crap that was out there where you got a bunch of fake journalists acting as real journalists trying to provide information. And you people out there who are listening, you know who I'm talking about. All right. That's the problem that we have in the community. They watch too much Independence Day. They watch too much Will Smith. They're not doing the real study of what is going on here. All right. And that's the problem with op-ed pieces, is too many times they get too much press for what little they actually accomplish. The sad part about it is, in our field, that op-ed is very, very powerful to the public, where the public says, well, finally, somebody's talking some sense here. This is somebody who doesn't know who Brandon Fugel is, doesn't know Chris Mellon, who hasn't interviewed any pilots or anything. or just doesn't want to do it. It's a lazy piece of opinion that really shouldn't amount to much.
I mean,
Sad
it seemed
part about it
like it was more even a mouthpiece for the Pentagon and Miss Go. Sorry to interrupt you there.
absolutely. It's exactly what he does. He got his quote. I'm going to believe everything the government tells me. I'm a good old American kid, and I'm going to go with it. I trust my government. That's what it comes down to. Really? Well, how many government people have come out against this? Take a look. Take a look.
Very well. I mean, honestly, this is the kind of reporting I find incredibly frustrating. Coming from a massive media outlet like this, just totally disarming the topic. And once again, putting everybody back in their comfort zone, just thinking again, it's military garbage. Of course, it's our enemies. Of course, it's just drones. Of course, it's a floating bag or a balloon, because it's the easier answer. It's the comfortable answer. And it puts things nicely, neatly in a box with a bow right before Christmas.
I agree with you. It was sloppy from somebody who doesn't want to be anything but skeptical on the topic. All right. There's no homework there. There's no journalism there. It's a garbage article. And the only thing that it does is it stings because the New York Times has pull and they have a lot of readership. And unfortunately, this is going to get a lot of play.
And this is part of the ebb and flow of disclosure also, because as we've heard lots of people quote, you've got to be in this for the long haul. We're only just now looking at 1947 realistically. And so, you're going to get a little push and a little pull, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And then you'll have maybe a good month or two. And then you'll have a next couple of months where it'll come through and just totally wipe out everything that had been, progressed the couple of months before. So it's a very frustrating topic to be in.
We just get the shoes tied and somebody comes and undoes the laces. And that's exactly what has happened here with the latest New York Times article by Julian Barnes. And just remember, people, op-ed pieces are just opinion. They don't have fact in them. And that's the big thing we need to remember. All right, Tim, thank you so much for coming on in for the UFO report. Thank you, Carter Bouchard, our phone guest, Laura, and Nick. Of course, Swamp Dweller for coming on in with another spooky story. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Spreaker, LGAP, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Nice return. Very nice return. Good show. Dank. Fight me, Dave. Just kidding. I'd like to give it. I don't want to fight you. Not today. I'm in the love mode. I'm on in the love mode. Excuse me. What are we doing here? Let's refresh. I gotta remember what I'm doing here. I need a good picture for this one. What can we put on here? Let's choose something cool. What can we choose? Let's go to an old school one here. See if we can see that saved there. What the hell is this? Oh, my asses. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Trying to find a logo here for us. So much to choose from. Oh well. Oh well. Let's just close that. Figure it out. Later date. All right. Yeah, my hair. Not used to it yet. The one thing about having new computers, like I just bought, is trying to figure out where you're going to fit everything. If you guys saw my office right now, this is probably the messiest it has ever been because I'm having some construction done in here. I've got boxes everywhere. Just everything's falling apart. It's actually kind of cool. It's to kind of re-step and revamp everything. I literally have too much shit in here is what it comes down to. It's like an episode of Hoarders. truth be told. Okay, don't need that. Don't need that. Let's quickly do this. View. Save. Yeah, cool. All right. Close that out. I went to Taco Bell Saturday night. I was at Taco Bell. Dank. No, actually, it's not. They all real people. They're all real. Hey, little Marky Sanchez, what's going on? My mom report. She's not doing too well. Probably, I don't know how much longer we got with the old lady, but old Phil, she's fighting away, and hopefully that it's longer than sooner. But I'm sure there'll be a day where I'm called away from some shows here in the next little bit. Hate to put it that way, but 'tis the way it is. Be 3 there now. Nightmare, how you doing? Yeah, I do too, Super Duke. Super Duke, Super Duke. My mom can barely talk right now, Joe. She's barely eating. My mom doesn't even like the show. That's what I find funny. Yeah, man, the praying is making her real comfortable. God bless all of you guys. Seriously, every one of you who has wished my mom Godspeed and health and everything. That's pretty awesome stuff, to be honest with you. It is pretty damn awesome. And fact that you guys would do that for me is really shows the character that you guys have as an audience, and the love that you have for my show, our great team, and myself included on that. Is the love is felt. Trust me on that. I was talking to my sister today about it, and my sister's 7 years older than me, and we were talking about how fortunate we are at our age. Our ages. Well, I'm 49. My sister's 56. About how fortunate we are to still have our parents. Hey, Godfather, how you doing? A lot of you out there have lost one parent or both parents. I don't know what that feels like. And excuse me. I know I will soon, but don't know what that feels like. And I just don't know how I'm gonna react. Like I've been thinking through this whole thing, like how am I gonna react when that time comes? I've been doing a lot of deep dive thinking into myself. Am I gonna be an emotional wreck? Hi, Dreamer23, watching from the Philippines. How you doing? Welcome. I don't know if I'm gonna be a wreck. I don't know if I'm not gonna be a wreck. My mom and I was always a real daddy's boy. So, I just don't know. I really don't know. Anyhow, it's just one of those things. Like, just think about it. Just think about it. Just think about it. All right. Let's see what's happening in Namibia. Well, the ostriches are back. There we go. High 07 Studio 42. It's weird how they kind of just scoop in there. All right, I'll be right back. I gotta hit the bathroom. It's cold out. Look at the oryx. They're all like, would you get the hell out of there already? Hey, Jeffrey Green. Thank you. I'm pissed off, Evan. Pissed off you missed the show. I signal my return, and you're not even here. I'm pissed off, Ev. Oh, let's go like this. Hold on. See if there's any other good YouTube stuff on. Hold on. Let's see what's happening at Tembe. Nothing. Rosie's Pan. Nothing. It looks like it's raining there. It is raining there. Cool. Where else can we go here? Well, we'll just stick with the Namibia. I'm surprised the oryx won't go in there because of the ostrich. Well, finally the ostrich leaves. Okay, I've had enough. I'm out of here. Now the oryx are like, well, what do we do? Oh, look, there is one of the drunk wildebeests, gadoos, whatever you want to call them. And she's looking pretty sober. Knowing that gadoo, he'll probably shit right in the water. There's no class. No class whatsoever. In the meantime, the ostrich is right over here saying, what the hell is going on around here? There's a bunch of other ostriches over here. I'm just waiting for that canoe to drop a deuce right there. Look at those antlers or horns or whatever you call them. Those are just gorgeous. Oh, geez, what happened there? The guy lost his tail. Just got bitten off by something. Hey, hold on 2 seconds here, guys. See, he's got a little stubby there. Look at this one trying to get a little whiff there. Come on, rip one for me. Rip one. My mouth is open. You got no tail. Hang on 1 second here. Poor guy has no tail. Look at all them ostriches. There's one over here, 2, 3, a couple more there. Oh, like that damn canoe went and screwed everything up. Once again, tomorrow night on the show, Geraldine Orozco will join us for the Spiritual You. We love it when Geraldine comes on in here. And that'll be a good show. Thank you, Mama Susan. Look at Stubby here. Yeah, he must have got his tail bitten off by something. Super Duke will be on tomorrow night with us as well. All right, that is done. Super Ron, how you doing? So before I step out and say goodnight to all of you, just a quick reminder that there's possibly going to be another time or two where I may have to abandon the show to go down and see my mom again. My mom is not very healthy. I don't know how long we're going to have left with her, but I just want to let you all know that really do appreciate the love and support that you guys have given us over this last week, and the understanding that that we all have, and I really do appreciate that. But I'll probably have to go down again here soon. I'm going to try and save it for weekends. It's going to be tough because my little guy's got hockey and stuff. But I don't know how much time I have left with my mom. And if the call happens again, I'm going to take off again. So just giving you guys some forewarning about what's happening and what we're all about and what's going on. So that way you guys know and are kept in the loop of what's going on as well. And then, I mean, if my mom does end up passing, well, I may take a little bit of time off. I know you guys would totally understand that, but we'll see how it comes. But remember, tomorrow night, we have our good friend Geraldine Orozco back for the Spiritual You. I'll be back. You'll be back. And tell all your friends that we are back for the time being. All right, guys. Thank you so much. You all have a great night tonight, okay? And get some sleep. We'll do it all again tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.